It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
Welcome back to Post Tech. Today we move on to episode number 28 after the most intense round of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series playoffs with the round of 8 from Martinsville Speedway, Homestead-Miami Speedway, and the Talladega Superspeedway. We saw Casey Mears win his way into the championship four at Martinsville, Max McLaughlin take home his first career Truck Series victory at Homestead, and Ben Rhodes clinch a very close spot in the championship four at the Talladega Superspeedway with teamwork in the final few laps with his teammate Matt Crafton, who had raced his way up from being a lap down earlier on in the race. It was a very incredible round. Today, we will be covering the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series with racing action from the very same 3 racetracks, all determining the 4 drivers that will race for that Cup Series championship at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the Bill France Cup. So now, let's recap some of the on-track activities from the Camping World Truck Series Round of 8 before we get into the news. And as you can tell, I'm a little bit more dapper than normal. That is because this is the final episode of Post Tech for Season 1. But now, the Round of 8 in the Camping World Truck Series began with intense short-track racing at Martinsville Speedway in the United Rentals 200. Incidents were rather frequent, as is expected with playoff racing at Martinsville, with 63 laps of the 200-lap total distance ran under the caution flag. But the race was highlighted by a spectacular battle between Ryan Truex, Stephen Parsons, and Casey Mears, the playoff contender in the number 60 truck. Things got physical when Parsons and Truex made contact, sending them both up into the outside wall, and those two getting caught up in an intense battle allowed Casey Mears to capitalize. The majority of the playoff contenders struggled in the United Rentals 200, with Casey Mears being the only front-running playoff driver. In particular, there was a large accident on the front straightaway with about 10 laps to go that knocked Ty Dillon out of the race. He obviously contending for a championship in the 31 truck for Germain Racing. Dillon had a decent run going, enough to keep him on the plus side of the cut line, but a 34th place finish in that large crash on the front straightaway already puts him in a hole after just the first race of the round of 8. However, his teammate Casey Mears won both stages, and with 5 laps to go on a late race restart, pulled off a great move on the 09 truck of Stephen Parsons, taking away the race lead and scoring his second career NASCAR Camping World Truck Series victory, locking himself into the championship four at Atlanta. Remember that Casey Mears was only scheduled to run 4 races this season, all at the superspeedways at Daytona and Talladega. But after winning in his debut race at Daytona, the NextEra Energy 250, his schedule was bumped up to the full season. And he even suffered a terrifying crash at Kansas Speedway earlier on in this season, reminiscent of Kansas at Pocono last year. However, NASCAR's safety improvements in the last 2 years kept Mears from suffering any injuries, and now after his victory at Martinsville, he will be contending for his first NASCAR championship at Atlanta. Now on to the second race of the round of 8, the Baptist Health 200 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Homestead's progressive banking produced a phenomenal race with 20 total lead changes among 9 different drivers. Grant Enfinger had by far the most dominant truck. However, his truck would drop off fairly significantly over the course of the long run. After about 25 or so laps, he'd start to lose a tenth or so compared to the field. It was rather dramatic, the difference between the 98 truck and the field after we got into a long run. And that fall off over the course of a long run ended up costing him a chance at winning any of the 3 stages. In the closing laps of stage number 1, Spencer Davis pulled off a great move on the high side of Grant Enfinger and scored his first career stage victory in the process, driving his own number 11 truck. In stage number 2, Enfinger fell off with about 10 laps remaining, and it became a battle between Timothy Peters in the 87 truck for Nemco and Max McLaughlin driving the 61 for Hattori Racing Enterprises, and it came down to a photo finish to the green and white checkered flag, with McLaughlin just barely edging Timothy Peters for the stage win. Playoff contender Matt Crafton ended up having trouble in the closing 20 laps, with him suffering a flat tire while running in the 3rd position. The caution flag came out as both Matt Crafton and Dawson Cram suffered flat tires, but they both dropped 1 lap down the process. Finally, the finish came down to an incredible battle between McLaughlin in the 61 truck, going for his first career Truck Series victory, and Ty Dillon and Grant Enfinger, both trying to win their way into the Championship 4. It was a door-to-door finish between McLaughlin and Dillon, with McLaughlin just barely edging out the number 31 truck at the stripe, using highline momentum, just like how he bested Peters for stage number 2. Ty Dillon misses out on advancement to the Championship 4 here at Homestead by just mere thousandths of a second. And Dillon leaves Homestead-Miami Speedway just -1 from the cutoff line. Following the race, Ty Dillon quoted, "I hope that this second-place finish doesn't come back to bite us." And as I continue on through the recap of this round, you will definitely be able to tell that second-place finish mattered greatly. But ironically enough, mile-and-a-half king of the season, Austin Hill, struggled all night long in the Baptist Health 200, while his teammate went on to score his first career victory with a stage win to boot, almost like Hattori Racing Enterprises mixed up who would get which truck at the race shop. But now Austin Hill comes into Talladega -17 points from the cut line, as does Ben Rhodes, who had a tough night at Homestead, getting involved in an accident. But finally, we rolled into the penultimate race of the 2021 Camping World Truck Series season, the final race of the round of 8 and the race that sets the championship for the Chevrolet Silverado 250 from the Talladega Superspeedway. First of all, Hill Motorsports, owned by Timmy and Tyler Hill, started purchasing equipment off of Germain Racing for this season, and that equipment actually put Timmy Hill on the pole position for the race at Talladega, which was a very impressive run in qualifying. But like normal superspeedway racing, we had a phenomenal amount of lead changes. 49 lead changes in total among 23 different drivers. And that's just the data at the start-finish line, let alone how many lead changes happen over the course of just one individual lap. But that means, that data, about 55% of the trucks that started the race led at least one lap in that race. Incredible action at Talladega. A typical Talladega big one closed out stage number 1, which proved just how important winning Martinsville was for Casey Mears, as he was knocked out of the race by just lap number 18. However, the melee in turn 1 also included defending Talladega race winner Ty Gibbs and another fellow playoff contender, Stuart Friesen. Parker Kligerman in the 75 truck rolled off the banking after being impacted by the 60 truck of Casey Mears, and Parker actually drove his number 75 truck back to the garage, just like Joe Nemechek did at Nashville when he flipped about 10 years ago in what was then a nationwide series race. But this large crash allowed John Hunter Nemechek to take the stage number 1 over the number 56 of Timmy Hill back to both the caution and the green and white checkered flag. Nemechek would actually lead the most laps of any driver in that race, with only 11 laps led out of 94, just showing how competitive that race truly was. The race saw a combination of pack racing, slingshots, and tandem racing, which is what contributed to the numerous leaders. Stage number 2 was taken by the Watkins Glen race winner of Scott Lagasse Jr. in the number 03 truck for On Point Motorsports, after, strangely enough, his teammate Brennan Poole failed to make the field for the Camping World Truck Series race, while that driver and team actually won the NASCAR Cup Series race at Talladega back in the spring, the Geico 500. Then on lap number 44, Matt Crafton passed Spencer Davis on the inside line before the start-finish line, resulting in NASCAR black flagging the number 88 truck for a restart violation. Crafton served that violation under green flag conditions and dropped one lap down from this penalty, and it looked as if this would be the end of Crafton's championship run and his bid for his record-tying 4th championship in the Camping World Truck Series. But then, there was big trouble off of turn number 4 on lap 60, as the slow truck of Stuart Friesen bottlenecked the field, causing a very large accident. Ty Dillon got turned into the outside wall by Dawson Cram, who were already running 4 wide, and this set off a chain reaction that knocked out multiple trucks. Most importantly, when Ty Majeski piled in hard into the crash, the number 31 truck of Ty Dillon was absolutely destroyed, eliminating his chance at chasing a championship at Atlanta. Ty Dillon, Haley Deegan, and Ty Majeski took large impacts in the crash, but fortunately, no one was injured. But it really does make you wonder about the few thousandths of a second that could have made the difference at Homestead-Miami Speedway, where Ty Dillon just barely got edged out by the 61 truck of Max McLaughlin. And if he would have been able to edge out that 61, that would have automatically locked him in to the championship 4 at Atlanta. But that's now just a matter of what-ifs. Speaking of thousandths of a second, though, Matt Crafton just barely edged out race leader Austin Hill at the start-finish line, coming back to the caution flag, which placed Matt Crafton back on the lead lap and back into the championship fight, especially with Ty Dillon now out of the equation. As you can tell with Austin Hill leading, that number 16 team is doing everything that they can to make this championship 4 because they know going off past mile-and-a-half success that they should be strong in Atlanta if they can make it there with a shot at the championship. By lap number 75, guess what? Matt Crafton had made his way all the way back from the tail end of the longest line to the race lead, making an incredible comeback in the Chevrolet Silverado 250, showing that that team is championship contending and that they will not give up even in the face of adversity. There was incredible racing all throughout the field in the final 20 laps, but in the end it came down to teamwork with 2 laps to go. There were 2 ThorSport trucks on the outside, Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton, and 2 Starcom Speed Station trucks on the inside, those being Christian Eckes and Gray Galding. Crafton and Rhodes got hooked up on the top side and shot by the trucks on the bottom, and on the final lap, Rhodes made the slingshot on teammate Crafton coming into turn number 1. Timothy Peters made a great final lap charge on Ben Rhodes, but had almost no help on the inside as the 53 truck of Gray Galding abandoned him on the bottom. Crafton then pushed Ben Rhodes by on the top side of the racetrack, and through utilizing teamwork, Ben Rhodes was able to score the victory in the Chevrolet Silverado 250, giving ThorSport 3 of the 4 spots in the Championship 4. It's essentially a big 3-and-me situation in Atlanta, with Casey Mears facing off against 3/4 of ThorSport Racing. In the end, it was Stuart Friesen, Ty Gibbs, Ty Dillon, and Austin Hill all being eliminated from the playoffs following the Chevrolet Silverado 250 at the Talladega Superspeedway. Also, with Ty Gibbs being eliminated and Casey Mears advancing to the Championship 4, Mears has now clinched the Sunoco Rookie of the Year award in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Very impressive for Mears at his age, finally scoring that Rookie of the Year award in a NASCAR National Division. Now just 1 race left on the season, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship race from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. That place is known for some fantastic racing, especially in this series. As you recall, the first time we went here, the door-to-door battle between Mike Skinner and Bobby Hamilton. Then following, we had Ron Hornaday versus Bobby Labonte. Then after that, we had Kyle Busch versus the whole field as Busch was on fresh tires. So I can't wait to get down to Hotlanta to see how this championship fight unfolds in the Camping World Truck Series. It should be a great one during the course of that Truck Series championship race. But now, we move on to some silly season news on episode number 28 of Post Tech. Bass Pro Shops has announced that they will be co-sponsoring both Austin and Ty Dillon in the 2022 season, which includes their efforts in all of the NASCAR national divisions. Also, Tony Stewart Racing will be running a part-time Camping World Truck Series program, just like they've done this season. And here is their contingency plan for the drivers that they're going to run next year. Austin Dillon will run the number 14 truck in 5 races, including the NextEra Energy 250 at Daytona and the Toyota Owners 250 at Richmond. Kevin Harvick is slated to do 5 races in the number 14 truck. Tony Stewart is expected to run 2 to 3 races. Donnie Schatz is anticipated to run 3 races, as well as Sam Mayer filling out the rest of the schedule with 16 races in the number 14 truck. Now, another team, we mentioned last time that Kyle Larson had some announcements for LGR, Larson Gilliland Racing. Well, those have come over the course of the week. Anthony Alfredo is yet another driver who will be moving down to the Camping World Truck Series. It appears that it is a done deal for Alfredo to drive the full season for Larson Gilliland Racing in the number 15 truck, replacing Tanner Gray, who struggled all season long, not only to run in races, but to make them in qualifying. They've struggled tremendously. They've missed about 8 or so races over the course of the year. That 15 truck has just had a very, very poor season. And also, Jerry Baxter will be moving from the 43 car in the Cup Series with Myatt Snyder down to the Truck Series to be the crew chief of Anthony Alfredo on Larson Gilliland Racing's number 15 truck. And when it comes to their part-time number 17 truck, Taylor Gray will get the majority of the seat time, but because of his age, there will be a multitude of drivers running that truck, including David Reagan and team owners Kyle Larson and David Gilliland. Other drivers as well are slated to run that number 17 truck, but they have yet to be announced. Also, a very surprising announcement for the Camping World Truck Series. Derek Kraus will be joining Hattori Racing Enterprises in the number 61 truck full-time for the 2022 season. Sponsorship will be coming from HRE's major partners, such as United Rentals and Rheem. Bill McAnally Racing, who released Derek Kraus to obviously move on to HRE, has announced that they will field 2 trucks full-time in the 2022 season, with Colby Howard as their first announced driver. Obviously, Napa Auto Parts will remain as the primary sponsor for the whole team. Bill McAnally is a big part of their company, a franchise owner, among other ventures with Napa Auto Parts. But while it is yet to be announced, Joey Coulter appears to be the top candidate for their second truck. Coulter has connections with Chevrolet, obviously, from his years at RCR. And with BMR moving back to the bow ties for next season, the opportunity presents itself for Coulter to make his comeback in the number 19 truck. Pairing Coulter and Colby Howard would be a competitive balance with a savvy veteran as well as an up-and-coming youngster for Bill McAnally Racing to look forward to in the 2022 campaign. There's also a big rumor surrounding Johanna Robbins, the 2010 Snowball Derby race winner, making a NASCAR comeback to the Camping World Truck Series. All signs point to Dale Earnhardt Jr. putting together a Truck Series program for her, as sponsor Filter Time has already aligned with her. We'll keep you updated on this story as it evolves. Right now, nothing has been announced beyond the sponsorship program that they are likely to be setting up. As we previously reported, John Hunter Nemechek will be returning to Nemco Motorsports for next season to drive the number 8 truck as a teammate to Timothy Peters. His father and truck owner, Joe Nemechek, will be retiring following the NASCAR Championship weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Front Row Joe will attempt both the Camping World Truck Series and NASCAR Cup Series races at Atlanta to hopefully close out his career with some more success. If he cannot score a victory in his final 2 starts, he will end his career with 20 wins among NASCAR's top 2 series. He surprisingly never scored a Truck Series victory, but he has the 1992 Busch Grand National Series Championship on his record, as well as holding the record for all-time starts in NASCAR's national divisions, besting Richard Petty just a few years ago. Now, Joe Nemechek has left open the opportunity to maybe run a few more races in his career, but he's pretty much putting the end to where he is expected to run, 8 or so races a year like he's done this season. It'll pretty much just be one-offs from here on out for Front Row Joe. Managing his Camping World Truck Series program is what he's going to spend the majority of his time focusing on, with championship contenders out of both his son John Hunter and Timothy Peters in the number 87 truck. Now, on the NASCAR Cup Series side of things, we have a very big announcement regarding Tommy Baldwin Racing coming up very soon, likely coming during championship weekend at Atlanta. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that situation over the next couple weeks. Multiple teams also have announcements planned at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, including Chip Ganassi Racing and Rick Ware Racing, as mergers with larger teams have been the topic of discussion for both TBR and RWR. Also, it appears currently that the only team in the NASCAR Cup Series that does not have its ducks in a row for next year is Trackhouse Racing, with that number 99 car. Their driver for this season, Ryan Preece, will be moving down to the Camping World Truck Series to drive for Kyle Busch next season in the number 4 truck, which actually leaves Trackhouse without a driver or a sponsor for their Cup Series program currently. Rumors are pointing to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. running a limited schedule in their car, about 3 races to be specific, but beyond that, pretty much everything else is up in the air for this organization. And now, on to a long-awaited announcement. The format for the postseason Pennzoil All-Star race at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series has finally been announced. The format itself is very similar to that of the All-Star race ran there earlier in the season in the NASCAR Cup Series. Only drivers with victories this season in the Camping World Truck Series will be locked into the All-Star race itself. Currently, there have been 24 different winners in the series over the course of this 2021 season, with just 1 race remaining on the year, which currently leaves 18 spots open. Drivers with poles or stage wins this season will be invited to compete in the All-Star Open. The Open race will take place over the course of 40 laps with a segment caution on lap 26, setting up a 10-lap dash to the finish. Either the top 18 or top 17 in the Open, again, depending on if we have a different winner at Atlanta. But those drivers will then transfer into the Pennzoil All-Star race, which will have a full field of 42 trucks starting. Rather unique for an all-star competition, having a field size of that magnitude. The Pennzoil All-Star race itself will take place over the course of 80 laps, double the All-Star Open event, with segment cautions coming on lap 33 and lap 66. Each segment winner will take home $25,000. However, if you can survive the final 10-lap dash in the feature and take home the victory in the inaugural NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Pennzoil All-Star race, you'll receive a huge $500,000 payday, $500,000. One of, if not the largest single paydays for one Camping World Truck Series winner in series history. This is going to be a very big event in the postseason. However, there is some stipulations to this deal. If a NASCAR Cup Series regular wins the race, such as Landon Castle, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, or Denny Hamlin, who are all locked into the All-Star race itself, the winner's purse will be donated to a charity of their choice. So expect some postseason winter heat-style action out in Las Vegas, Nevada, with the inaugural Pennzoil All-Star race and the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. And now, in the NASCAR Cup Series Round of 8, we have 3 of the most incredible races of the season ahead of us to determine who will race for the championship at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here are the highlights of the Xfinity 500 Under the Lights from the Martinsville Speedway, the Dixie Vodka 400 from Homestead-Miami Speedway, and the Yellowwood 500 from the Talladega Superspeedway. In the race analysis, the Xfinity 500 here from the Martinsville Speedway will take place over the course of 250 laps around this paperclip in Ridgeway, Virginia, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 62 and stage number 2 meeting its end on lap 125. And track position at this facility is extremely critical. It's hard to make a move without trying to knock somebody up off the bottom groove and in turn damaging your race car in the process. So making moves at this place comes with quite a bit of risk because of how dependent it is on staying on the inside line. You pretty much do have to move the car up off the inside line that you're trying to pass and make that move stick on the bottom. So really, track position is the most critical thing here at Martinsville Speedway, especially if you can get some lap cars positioned between you and the car that's trying to chase you. That makes their situation even more difficult to try and close that gap and pass you. That's why we say at this facility, catching a car is one thing and passing is another. That's because you can make up a lot of ground on somebody, but then stay just in line behind them for 50 or more laps without a single chance at passing them. So really, your dream here at Martinsville Speedway is to make up track position in the pits at the conclusion of these 2 stages on lap 62 and on lap 25, because it's expected that the majority of the field at the very least will come down pit road following those stage cautions. And like I mentioned, this place is very much a single groove racetrack. You want to make sure that you roll the inside line. You might be wondering, why do I put emphasis on the word roll? That's because you don't want to use too much brake at this facility. You can get too aggressive with the brake pedal and wear out your brakes before you're done with the race, essentially taking yourself out of contention. So what you want to do is you want to have a setup that's geared so that you can rely on the engine to slow you down a little bit more than the brake pedal, because you don't want to run out of brakes before this race is over. This track is extremely tough on brakes, and given the fact that we'll be racing under the lights here tonight in the Xfinity 500, you'll be able to see those glowing brake rotors. Also, another thing here at Martinsville, watch the transitions. The corners only here at Martinsville, and only the first 2 grooves in width are concrete. The rest of the racetrack is asphalt, so the transition onto, in particular, the concrete is a very rough transition at this point. It was a lot smoother when they first resurfaced this place back in 2004, but you want to make sure that you don't upset your car coming into that transition. Now, the concrete extends a little bit farther out on exit as compared to where it starts on entry to the corners, so it's not that big of a deal on exit, but on entry, you want to make sure that your car stays planted during those slightly rough transitions and that it doesn't break free while crossing from the asphalt to the concrete. In this place, as I've mentioned before, rough and tumble racing here at the Martinsville Speedway. You don't want to get involved in someone else's accident at this place because of how hard it is to pass. There's going to be rooting and gouging all throughout the course of these 250 laps. You want to make sure you keep your car clean and stay out of trouble. That will likely give you the best chance at advancing on the championship floor. Just make it to the finish of today's race, and odds are you'll have a fairly decent finish. And one thing that we saw that was very important in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series that you want to make sure you don't do here today in the Xfinity 500 is don't jump the restart. That's because you get a relatively easy opportunity on these restarts here at Martinsville, especially if you're one of the cars at the bottom half of the field, to try and peek down to the inside and beat the car next to you to the start-finish line on the inside. That is illegal. What you can legally do is get up right beside them and make sure that they beat you to the start-finish line, and then since you're on their inside, beat them into turn 1 because of how dominant the inside line here is. You can get away with that, but you don't want to beat them back to the start-finish line, and quite a few drivers got caught out by that in the Camping World Truck Series race, including Grant Enfinger and Ty Gibbs. And folks, I'm actually running out of chances to say this, but once again, win and you are in. It's the playoffs, especially the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series. You win here today, and you'll be just like Casey Mears going through the next 2 races of the round of 8 scot-free, knowing that you're already advanced into the championship 4, and with no worries going through Homestead-Miami Speedway and the Talladega Superspeedway. All the 8 championship contenders, their goal is to win at least one of these 3 races. And why not get your victory early to have not only an advantage from not having to worry about the next 2 races, but also you'll be able to work on your Atlanta car for the next 2 weeks without even really concerning yourself about putting too much effort into the races at Homestead and Talladega. So you pretty much have a 2-week advantage on the rest of your championship contenders that you'll be battling against at Atlanta. And so here are your reseeded point standings coming into the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series. The playoff grid has been cut down to just 8 contenders. Daniel Suarez currently sets atop of the board, series leading 4 wins on the year and 27 playoff points in total, making him a favorite to advance to the championship 4. Then we have Kyle Busch setting second in points, 12 points back, as well as Chase Briscoe and Kevin Harvick all setting 12 points from the point lead. Then we have Chase Elliott setting in 5th position, 13 points back. Denny Hamlin in 6th, 14 points back. Brandon Jones in 7th, 17 points back. And Martin Truex Jr. currently sets the lowest of all the championship contenders, 8th in playoff points, 20 points out of the point lead. But think about it, the entire top 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series is separated by just 20 points. With the next 3 races on the line to make the championship 4, it's literally anybody's game at this point among these 8 contenders. Any of the 8 could drop below the cut line. Any of the 8 could be above it following Talladega Superspeedway, but only 4 make it into the championship 4, so it's going to be a dogfight over these next 3 races for who makes it in and who gets eliminated. But now, take a look at the drivers who have already been eliminated from the playoffs. This is a familiar sight for Alex Bowman. You recall last season in the 88 car that he drove for Hendrick, same team, just a different number. He was best of the rest among those eliminated, finished 5th in points. Well, right now he's on a fast track to maybe do the same thing this year, sets 9th in point standings in the number 48 car. Behind him, he has Larson in 10th, DiBenedetto in 11th position, Joey Logano in 12th, Michael McDowell right in 13th position, a good points run for that team this season after winning at Daytona in August and making the playoffs. Kaz Gralla sets 14th in points, Justin Allgaier 15th, and Josh Bilicki still hanging on to that 16th place in points, being the lowest driver who has already been eliminated from playoff contention. Then we have the drivers who did not make the playoffs whatsoever, such as the extremely consistent Clint Bowyer and Eric Jones, who set 17th and 18th in points respectively. Bowyer still in his final career full-time NASCAR Cup Series season, looking to close out his career with a victory. Still gone winless over the course of the year. He's got a good track right up in front of him here today at Martinsville. He's taken home the grandfather clock before, looking to do it in what could possibly be his final race at this famed facility. And Eric Jones obviously won just a few weeks ago at the North Wilkesboro Speedway, his second career Cup Series victory. Then we have Chastain setting 19th in points and Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 20 in that number 8 car for Richard Childress. NASCAR invited 6 drivers, 2 per manufacturer, to participate in a next-gen multi-car test here at the Martinsville Speedway. The drivers invited include the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, 53 of Chase Briscoe, 95 of Harrison Burton, the 48 of Alex Bowman, and the 17 of Chris Buescher, and the 41 of Cole Custer. And what all 6 drivers noticed from this test is very congruent with what we've heard all season long about the feedback of this car. The fact that it corners great because of the independent rear suspension, slightly wider tires on this thing. It's got incredible mechanical grip, kind of like a GT-type road course car that you'd see in an endurance-type series. However, this thing does not have nearly as much side force as the current Generation 6 car, and that's because these things have symmetrical bodies as compared to with the Gen 6 car. Teams to this day still flare out individual parts of the body to get some of that side force that we always talk about. But that means with this next-gen car lacking all that side force, it really will make the cream rise to the top in the NASCAR Cup Series, because it makes it a lot harder to save your race car once you break it loose, because you don't have that aerodynamic downforce ready to catch your car once you get sideways. And also, that lack of side force makes it easier to close the gap and make a move on somebody, because you're not running in nearly as much dirty air from the car in front. So the car behind can actually make up that gap. That can get beyond that beach ball air bubble that we always talk about, that dirty air zone where the car behind can't quite close that gap up to the back bumper. Now with these cars, you can close that gap and actually take the air off the rear spoiler of the car in front like we used to be able to make moves. So I think that everyone's going to be excited about the type of racing that we're going to see out of this next-gen car with much less aero dependency out of side force, and that's going to make it a lot easier to make moves once somebody gets there. Dirty air will not be nearly as much of a factor. We're seeing this right here even in the test. The 41 of Cole Custer cornering underneath the 17 of Chris Buescher and closing that gap right up to the back bumper with no problem. As there's not nearly as much dirty air that the 41 car Custer is running in compared to what they'd be running in with the Generation 6 car. So I think a lot of people are going to be very excited about especially the fact that we're going to be reducing rear downforce on intermediate style racetracks down to just 4 inches of rear spoiler like we used to run, as well as an increase of horsepower. Just a total removal of the tapered spacer. No engine restrictions except for racetracks such as Daytona and Talladega. The exact same aero and horsepower package that we ran back at the All-Star race in the spring at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, which produced phenomenal racing. So I think we got a lot to look forward to with this next-gen car for the full 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season. And in the starting lineup, how about this? Tyler Ankrum has scored the pole here for the Xfinity 500 at the Martinsville Speedway. That kid moving on to Hendrick Motorsports next season to drive the famous number 24 car, hoping to close out his career at GMS Racing with a victory for that team in a points race after winning the Budweiser Shootout postseason of 2020. Then we have another youngster in second position. Harrison Burton qualifies in 95 for Levine Family Racing in second position. He won at Pocono earlier on in this season. Then William Byron puts the number 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports in third position. Ryan Newman with a great fourth place starting position. Martin Truex Jr., the highest qualified playoff contender, starts from fifth position. Austin Dillon with a good qualifying run starts from sixth. Larson will start from seventh. The playoff contender Kevin Harvick will roll off in eighth position. Clinton Boyer, in what, as I've mentioned before, could be his final attempt of a Cup Series race in Martinsville, will roll off from ninth position. And Michael McDowell rounds out the top 10. And as you can tell just from this top 10, these short tracks are a great equalizer for equipment, and that's what is allowing teams such as Austin Dillon, Michael McDowell, Ryan Newman, and Harrison Burton even to close that gap up to the front-running contenders at a short track such as this. It's no longer about really horsepower or even downforce whatsoever. It is all about mechanical grip at a short track such as Martinsville. Other notable starters include Justin Haley rolling off from 11th position, Jan Magnussen from 12th. This racetrack does also favor road course racers such as Magnussen and A.J. Allmendinger, making one of his few Cup Series starts of the year here at Martinsville. This place is essentially like Turn 11 at Sonoma, but twice, and obviously the opposite direction. But the heavy braking that you'll find here at Martinsville favors these road course style drivers. Then we have the number 99 of Ryan Preece. A short track ace will roll off from 13th position. A.J. Allmendinger from 14th. Playoff contender Daniel Suarez will start from 16th position. The number 7 of Corey LaJoie gets a good qualifying run in 17th position. Chase Briscoe will roll off in 20th. Chase Elliott from 22nd. The number 37 of Eric Jones from 24th. The 18 car of Kyle Busch from 25th position. The number 23 of Bubba Wallace, he's very good at this facility, will start from 26th position. The number 89 of Landon Castle will roll off in 28th. The number 20, the playoff contender Brandon Jones, starts all the way down in 30th. Then we have the number 10 of Eric Almirola starting down in 33rd position. The number 41 of Cole Custer, he struggled in qualifying all season long. He rolls off from 35th position. Then we have the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting from 37th. The 43 of Myatt Snyder will roll off from 39th. And how about this? Short track ace and hometown hero Denny Hamlin starts all the way down in 40th. The playoff contender already having a rough week here at Martinsville. He's going to have to try and make up a lot of track position in the race, and as I've discussed before, it's hard to pass at this facility. He's going to have to rely on fast pit stops from his Joe Gibbs Racing team to leapfrog some cars and hopefully stay on the lead lap. But then we have the number 12 of Ryan Blaney rolling off from 41st position, and the 50 of Kaz Gralla rounding out the field in 42nd position. Then the cars who failed to make today's Xfinity 500 from Martinsville Speedway include, once again, the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Misses out on the field. The 51 of Cody Ware, the number 52 of J.J. Yaley, the 66 of Timmy Hill, and the number 96 of Drew Herring all failed to make the field here at the Martinsville Speedway. And so, folks, this was a bit of a strange one. The first highlight of the Xfinity 500 actually happened before the green flag even flew. This is on the pace lap coming to the green flag. Watch the inside line right here check up just a little bit. It's an accordion-style accident up in front. You see the 88 car slow down, then the 61 and the 18 of Kyle Busch actually makes contact with the 21 of Austin Cindric and gets hit in the rear bumper by his brother, Kurt Busch, in the number 1 car. So already an interesting situation before the green flag even flies in the first race of the round of 8. And so the green flag will wave for the Xfinity 500 here at the Martinsville Speedway. The 26 of Tyler Ankrum gets a great jump down to turn number 1. And on the start of the race, the 99 car of Ryan Preece made a very aggressive 3-wide move on the inside, passing both the 34 Michael McDowell and the 77 of Justin Haley down the back straightaway. And as you can tell, there are 2 Hunt Brothers Pizza cars in the field. The number 4, the playoff contender of Kevin Harvick, and the 99 of Ryan Preece as part of a cross promotion. And the first lap at Martinsville was led by the 26 of Ankrum, with the 24 of William Byron assuming the second position. Martin Truex Jr. challenging for that second spot. And on lap number 2, we had trouble already as there was a bit of a 4-wide move getting made off of turn number 4. The 41 car of Cole Custer cuts down to stay out of the left rear quarter panel of the 8 of Reddick and actually gets clipped by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. down into the inside wall, gets spun around and hit by the 71 of Josh Blicky. Bring out the caution flag already here at Martinsville. And so the only car out of the race following that accident is the number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with an early end of his night here at Martinsville. The number 71 car, Josh Blicky, actually fell 1 lap down to race leader Tyler Ankrum due to damage repair that they were performing under the caution flag. And the green flag comes back out on lap number 8 here in the Xfinity 500. William Byron got a good jump on the restart and dove down to the inside of the 26 of Ankrum. This place heavily favors the inside line, and William Byron takes away the top spot coming in to turn number 3 on lap number 8. You can see the 14 of Clint Boyer down on the inside. He gets his way around Larson, now challenging Martin Truex Jr. Boyer, in what could be his final start here at Martinsville, takes over the 3rd position. I talked about this in the opening, but do not jump the restart here at Martinsville. You got a lot of opportunities to on these restarts to jump down to the inside and best somebody back to the start-finish line. However, that is not a legal move. And right here on the restart, you saw DiBenedetto get loose coming off of 4. Buescher shot down to the bottom and beats the number 2 car to the start-finish line. And so that means a black flag for the number 17 of Chris Buescher. He will have to serve this penalty under green flag conditions with a stop and go. And so that means he will lose at least 1 lap to the race leader of William Byron. And by lap number 12, the 11 car of Denny Hamlin is still struggling very severely here at the Martinsville Speedway. Runs all the way down in 40th, currently trying to make a move underneath Ryan Blaney right now for the 39th position. On lap number 15, the 61 car of Christopher Bell pulls a 3-wide move on both the 4 of Kevin Harvick and the 95 of Harrison Burton. Those 3 battling currently for the 11th position. And you know what? We saw this in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race here at the Martinsville Speedway. The playoff contenders not really front runners here at this facility, at least not right now in the Cup Series race, the Xfinity 500. Martin Truex Jr. is currently the highest running playoff contender, just past Kyle Larson for the 7th position as Ryan Preece makes contact with the 57 right there and also gets hit in the left rear quarter panel by the 33 of Jan Magnussen. But the next playoff contender is outside the top 10, that being Harvick, setting in the 13th position. And so I mentioned earlier that playoff contenders have been struggling so far. We'll look at this on lap 23. We got Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe battling all the way down in 27th position. These two really not having the races that they've wanted so far. And actually, those two might be in danger if we get a long run of dropping 1 lap down. Have a look at this on lap 24 coming off turn 2. The 11 of Denny Hamlin gets hit in the left rear quarter panel by the damaged 41 of Cole Custer and actually turned down into the inside wall. Hamlin does a great job at saving that race car. However, damage on the left side of the 11 car and certainly some hurt feelings towards the number 41 of Cole Custer after almost getting crashed out of the race already within the first 25 laps. Also on lap 25, the number 6 of Ryan Newman, having a great night so far in the Xfinity 500, makes the move for 2nd position and takes a spot away from the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. Also a good night going for the number 3 of Austin Dillon, running in 4th position. He's had a tough season so far in the number 3 car for RCR, his final season driving for Richard Childress Racing. And how about this, by lap 30, the number 77 of Justin Haley has made his way all the way up to 6th position. As I mentioned in the opening, these short tracks offer a bit of a level playing field for the underfunded teams or less developed teams to compete against these powerhouse organizations such as Joe Gibbs Racing, Hendrick Motorsports, those types of teams. And a team such as the 77 of Justin Haley is taking advantage of that with a good run going so far. On lap 33, Ankrum gets pretty aggressive with the 6 of Ryan Newman, puts the bumper to him and slides down on the inside, uses lap traffic to his advantage and takes away the second position once again, as the 24 of William Byron has started to extend his race lead, using lap traffic to his advantage. And you know what, how about this? By lap number 39, after Corey LaJoie got a great qualifying position, he still resides in 19th spot. So it's actually been a good night for every single Spire and Kaulig racing car tonight, with the 77 of Haley now running up in 5th position. The 16 of AJ Allmendinger runs in 15th, and the 7 of Corey LaJoie sets in 19th position. On lap number 47, using assistance from the lap car of Josh Bilicki, the 57 of Kyle Larson makes a move on the inside of the 77 of Justin Haley and moves his way back up into the top 5. And on lap number 52, Newman and Ankrum got to racing side by side once again for the second position. That is allowing the 24 of William Byron to gap these two by quite a bit. And it's brought the number 3 of Austin Dillon back up into the mix. In fact, he's trying down on the inside to make his way past the number 6 of Ryan Newman. Hopefully with the 26 car making the hole down on the bottom, the 3 car can fill that hole and take over that 3rd spot. Right now the 26 car is clear of the 6 of Ryan Newman. And now the 3 of Austin Dillon going to try and fill that gap. He successfully does so through turns 1 and 2, gets up side by side with the 6 of Newman. And now he's going to have to concede the position through 3 and 4. Austin Dillon now up in the 3rd spot in the number 3 car for Richard Childress Racing. On lap 55, we had a little bit of action between playoff contenders all the way down in 17th position. The 9 of Chase Elliott puts the bumper to the 20 of Brandon Jones, moves him up the racetrack, crowds him a little bit coming off of turn 2, and shoots by on the inside to take away that 17th position. And the number 24 car of William Byron has continued to gap the second place runner of Tyler Ankrum. But on lap number 60, Ankrum pushes on the entry to turn number 3, allowing the number 3 car of Austin Dillon to try and make the move on the inside for that second spot. These two are going to battle for the now final 2 laps of stage number 1. But the 26 of Ankrum pulled off a power move down to turn number 1, outbreaking the 3 car of Austin Dillon up on the outside line. That's a tough move to try and make work, as these two still battle for the second position. The 24 of Byron sees the white flag in stage number 1. And Byron has been consistently lapping cars, building an even bigger advantage above the second place contenders. With a 2.2 second lead above the field, Byron rolls his way through turns 3 and 4 and onto the front straightaway. William Byron is going to win stage number 1 here in the Xfinity 500 from the Martinsville Speedway. Byron will take home the stage number 1 victory above the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, who held off the number 3 of Austin Dillon. Dillon in 3rd position, 57 of Larson in 4th, and the number 6 of Ryan Newman rounds out your top 5. And on lap 63, following the conclusion of stage number 1, William Byron leads the entire lead lap field down pit road for their first pit stops of the day. And the top 3 out of the pits is William Byron getting out with the race lead once again, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum in 2nd position, and the number 3 of Austin Dillon in 3rd spot. So your top 3 remain unchanged. However, there was a very bad pit stop for the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. He drops all the way down to 17th position off of pit road with a very poor stop on that number 14. And so the green flag waves for stage number 2 on lap 68 here at the Martinsville Speedway. And guess what? The man who dominated stage number 1 has a loose wheel on the number 24 machine, comes back down pit road. William Byron with yet another tough break with what was potentially a race-winning race car. Thought he finally got the monkey off his back at Michigan, finally scoring his first career victory, but bad luck once again strikes this number 24 team. They're going to lose at least 1 lap with coming back down pit road. And while we had the story of misfortune on the number 24 team, there was yet another restart violation on lap number 68 as the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto shot down to the inside of the lap car of Josh Bilicki and actually beat Bilicki back to the start-finish line. And so that is a restart violation for the number 2 team. They will also have to come down pit road under green flag conditions for a stop and go. That will at least drop the number 2 car 1 lap down behind the new race leader of Tyler Ankrum, and the 57 of Larson has assumed the 2nd position beyond the 3 of Austin Dillon. And here's a look at the move the 57 put on the 3 of Dillon. Coming down to turn number 1, just got a better restart on the 3 car. assumes what is now the second position as the 24 of Byron ducks onto pit road for that loose wheel. And on lap number 70, the 26 of Ankrum slides up the racetrack just a little bit, overdrove turns 3 and 4, allows the 57 of Larson to get down to the inside of the 26 of Ankrum into turns 1 and 2. And on lap 71, Kyle Larson is now your new race leader here at the Martinsville Speedway. Ryan Newman runs in the 3rd position. Clinton Boyer in 4th, and Austin Dillon has dropped down to the 5th spot. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is currently the highest running playoff contender in the 6th position. And by lap number 73, the number 4 car of Kevin Harvick got swarmed on the restart. He has dropped his way all the way down to the 21st position in the number 4 for Stewart Haas Racing. And remember that this will be one of Harvick's last starts for this organization as the two team owners are cutting ties at the conclusion of the year. Lap 74, we had some 3-wide racing as the 42 of Allgaier makes some pretty significant contact with the left rear quarter panel of the number 16 of A.J. Allmendinger, then gets put 3-wide by one of his teammates and the playoff contender of Daniel Suarez as Kurt Busch almost shoves Suarez up into the outside wall. Fortunately, everybody keeps it going in the right direction. And how about this on lap number 77? You recall that the 11 of Denny Hamlin and the 53 of Chase Briscoe, these two ran into each other at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval as Briscoe was barreling his way through the field in a must-win situation, had to score the victory, and dumped Denny Hamlin with just 5 laps to go. Well, watch this. This is the first time that they've ran each other on track since their run-in at the Roval in the closing laps there. And on lap now 78, as the race leader crossed the start-finish line, the 53 of Briscoe pushes up into the 11 of Hamlin and tags him in the left rear quarter panel very similarly to what happened last time out at the Roval, and turns the 11 of Hamlin down into the inside wall. Pretty significant left side damage on the 11 car for Hamlin. And let's just say this brought back a lot of frustration into Denny Hamlin going off of what happened last week, now getting run into once again. It's 2-0 between Briscoe and Hamlin so far. Something's got to give. Lap number 82, the 11 car Denny Hamlin had chased back down the 53 of Chase Briscoe and impressively kept things pretty civil between the two. Obviously voiced his frustration running the 53 car wide off of turn number 4, almost made door-to-door contact, but surprisingly kept it off the 53 of Briscoe, kept his composure, and made the move stick through turns 1 and 2. Hamlin takes a spot off the 53 of Briscoe, showing some veteran maturity. The driver, the number 11, going off of what happened earlier this year with Brad Keselowski, the rivalry between Hamlin and Keselowski that started at Louisville and spread into the All-Star race. I think that in many ways he's learned his lesson about these rivalries. He's not letting it get to him, at least not yet, even knowing that, like I mentioned, he's 2-0 when it comes to this Briscoe rivalry. But still, he's keeping his best foot forward and trying to advance his way towards the front of the field here at Martinsville. And on lap number 84, take a look at how many playoff contenders we have jumbled in one stretch of the racetrack from 23rd position all the way down to 28th. You got Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, Denny Hamlin, and Chase Briscoe all running in a gaggle. On lap number 87, the 95 car of Harrison Burton makes the move to the inside. The 3 of Austin Dillon uses the lap car of Josh Blickey as a bit of a pick. Dillon runs it very wide through turns 3 and 4, and Harrison Burton has now made his way into the 5th position. And how about this? Road course ace Jan Magnussen now sets in the 8th position. I mentioned in pre-race that this track does favor drivers with a lot of road course experience because of the heavy braking at this facility. Jan Magnussen runs in the 8th position. The number 16 of A.J. Allmendinger runs in 13th, and now we got a new playoff contender running in the top 10. That's Chase Elliott, setting in 10th spot. On lap 94, the number 26 of Tyler Ankrum was trying to chase down the race leader of Kyle Larson. Got to racing with lap traffic, actually pushed up into the 41 of Cole Custer right here. Slowed up on exit of the corner and got clipped by the 17 of Busch, or actually door slams the 17 down into the inside wall. Surprisingly, they all keep it together. But this mistake also allows the 14 of Clint Boyer to make the move on the number 6 of Ryan Newman to solidify himself in the 3rd position. And here's two drivers that have a bit of history stretching back to Louisville as well, Harrison Burton and Ryan Newman. On lap 103, Burton makes the move on the number 6 car to take up the 4th position in the number 95 for Levine Family Racing. And as you can tell, the number 26 of Tyler Ankrum's been struggling quite a bit with lap traffic, especially when he almost got involved in an accident on the front straightaway with the 17 of Buescher. However, the number 57 of Kyle Larson has been very consistent when it comes to getting around the lap traffic, and that is what has allowed Larson to put more than a 1-second gap over the field at the moment. And on lap 115, the number 3 car of Austin Dillon makes a move on the inside, the 14 of Clint Boyer, and busts his way back into the top 5. How about this by lap 117? The number 55 of Ross Chastain's been pretty much silent all day long. Makes his move to the inside of the 33 of Jan Magnussen, that being his teammate. And now Chastain runs in the 8th position in the Xfinity 500 in the closing laps of stage number 2. And by lap 120, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum has closed the gap once again up to the 57 of Larson. The gap is now about just 0.3 of a second as we approach just 5 laps to go in stage 2. But now Larson has clear track up in front of him and no lap traffic to deal with as long as he can keep a steady line. Looks like he's just about got stage number 2 wrapped up. And by lap 121, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott got kicked up to the high side by the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. Gets passed by the 22 of Joey Logano. Now the door's open for the 1 car of Kurt Busch. He's losing quite a few spots at once late in the going in stage number 2. And so Kyle Larson is pretty easily driven away from the second place contender of Tyler Ankrum with the clear racetrack up in front of him. Now coming to the white flag in stage number 2, Larson does have to deal with the 71 of Blicky. However, that's been the slowest car in the racetrack for the majority of this race since that early race crash. Larson easily makes his move around the 71 car. Now running practically unopposed down into turn number 3. Kyle Larson just has 2 more corners to navigate. 26 of Ankrum makes a charge on the inside, but it's not going to be enough. Larson comes off the 4th corner to win stage number 2 here in the Xfinity 500 at Martinsville. Kyle Larson takes home the stage number 2 victory above the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. Once again, runner-up in a stage. The 95 of Harrison Burton brought it home in 3rd position. The number 6 car of Ryan Newman in 4th, and the number 3 of Austin Dillon in 5th position. And on lap 127, Kyle Larson leads the entire lead lap field down pit road. And there is currently 29 cars still on the lead lap with the final stage up in front of us. And check it out, we have had a shake-up off of pit road. The 26 of Tyler Ankrum bests the number 57 of Kyle Larson out of the pits. Ankrum now up in front, Larson in 2nd, and the 95 of Harrison Burton in 3rd position. And you know what? A tough break for the number 55 of Ross Chastain and the playoff contender, the 20 of Brandon Jones. Watch this as they lower the jack on the left side of the 20 of Brandon Jones. Jones pulls out of his pit stall and actually makes contact with the rear bumper, the 55 of Ross Chastain. So now front-end damage on the 20, as well as some damage on the 89 of Landon Castle right there as he tries to make his way into his pit stall. But the number 55 of Ross Chastain, there is the pace car. Chastain drops 1 lap down because of damage repair that they had to perform after being rammed by that number 20 car. A day that was capable of delivering a top 10. Now they're going to be at least 1 lap down coming into this final stage. And the green flag waves for the final stage here at Martinsville on lap 131. And the number 57 car of Kyle Larson got a perfect restart jump on the 26 of Ankrum, made the move through turns 1 and 2, and already took back that top spot that he lost in the pits. What was lost on pit road, the driver got back in a hurry as Larson takes away the race lead once again. He got the 6 of Ryan Newman on the inside, the 95 of Harrison Burton. Newman is going to take over the 3rd position on the bottom and might just take away 2nd if the 26 of Ankrum stays up on that high side. And on lap 133, the 9 car of Chase Elliott just muscles his way right by the lap car of the 43 of Myatt Snyder, making door-to-door contact coming off of turn number 2. Chase Elliott currently runs in the 9th position, matching his car number. And you know what? We have not talked about him very much tonight, but have a look at this 22 car, Joey Logano. This team has dropped off quite a bit since being eliminated from playoff contention. Right now, they run in the 7th position, still searching for their first win since Nashville in early 2020. And during this restart, the number 11 of Denny Hamlin got pinned behind the lap car of the 71 of Josh Bilicki, who, as I've mentioned, has been the slowest car of the day since that early race crash. But watch this. The field bottles up coming off of turn number 2. The 24 of Byron stabs the throttle. Byron then makes contact with the number 11 of Denny Hamlin and sends him hard into the inside wall, knocking the 11 of Hamlin out of the Xfinity 500. A huge blow for this playoff contender being out of the race. He will be just the second car to DNF and will take home a 42nd place finish. A big hit in the points for this number 11 team. And here's a look at it in real time. Hamlin just gets boxed in by the lap car of Bilicki. Right there, the 24 car stabs the throttle, makes contact with the 11 of Hamlin, and hard into that inside wall. The 24 then gets turned around after hitting into the car that Hamlin owns, the 23 of Bubba Wallace. But a tremendous amount of damage on the 11 of Denny Hamlin, and that knocks him out of the first race of the round of 8 here at Martinsville. And watch this, racing back to the caution flag. Stewart-Haas Racing teammates collide as racing through turns 3 and 4. The 4 of Harvick clips the number 10 car of Almirola in the left rear quarter panel and sends the 10 car round on the front straightaway, and also gets hit in the back bumper by the 34 of Michael McDowell. However, no damage on the 10 of Almirola. And with the caution flag now waving, the 57 of Larson leads the field back to the caution above the 26 of Ankrum and the 6 of Newman. And so the green flag comes back out on lap 143 with the 57 of Kyle Larson getting a great jump down into turn number 1. And as soon as we were under green flag racing, we already had an accident as once again the 71 of Josh Bilicki gets involved in an incident coming off of turn number 4 as the field was taking the green. Bilicki gets clipped by the number 7 of Corey LaJoy and sent around on the front straightaway. Contact between the 7 and 34 cars as well. The caution flag waves pretty much the moment that we had the green flag. And guess what? The field was not done wrecking. Racing back to the caution flag, the number 77 of Justin Haley turns into the corner. The 12 of Blaney was cutting up the racetrack just a little bit for a wide corner entry. And those two hook, setting the 12 car hard up into the outside wall with a big impact for the 12 of Ryan Blaney and out of the Xfinity 500. And this is the impact in real time. A huge hit for the 12 of Blaney, and that knocks him out of the Xfinity 500 here at Martinsville. But racing back to the caution flag, we had the 14 of Clint Boyer on the inside, the 6 of Newman, take away the 3rd spot back to the caution flag. And you know what? Kyle Busch struggled for a lot of the early portion of this race, but by lap 145, he's made his way all the way up to 13th position, just like the race that he had at Bristol in the round of 16. It starts off very slow for Kyle, but progressively gets better as the night goes along. And on lap 147, while running in 8th position under the caution flag, Harrison Burton has a terminal engine failure. Very unfortunate for this team, having a great night going. Burton is now out of the race here in the Xfinity 500. And so the green flag comes back out on lap 150 here at Martinsville Speedway. Coming down to turn number 1, the 14 of Boyer makes the move on the inside, the 26 of Ankrum, and Boyer takes away that 2nd spot on the restart. And watch this, the number 18 car of Kyle Busch makes a 3-wide move underneath the lap car of Ross Chastain and the lead lap car and playoff contender of Chase Elliott. Elliott pushes up into the 55 of Chastain, slides down into the 18 and actually door slams the 18 of Kyle Busch coming off the corner. Unfortunately, those two keep it together, and Busch now makes his way up into 10th position. And on lap 151, the number 4 car of Kevin Harvick has a flat tire. Very unfortunate situation for this playoff contender. Harvick comes down pit road for an unscheduled stop. And on lap 152, as we already documented, the number 55 of Ross Chastain is a lap car, and the 9 of Chase Elliott got very racy with each other. Similar situation happened coming off of turn number 2. Once again, the 9 car of Chase Elliott pushes up into the 55 of Chastain. This time he hooks him coming off the 2nd corner into the inside wall with a big impact back up into his teammate Magnussen and back into the inside wall. The caution flag will wave, and this damage on the number 55 car was terminal, knocking Ross Chastain out of the race. And let's just say Chastain was not happy about this situation whatsoever. Very upset with the number 9 car of Elliott. And the green flag flies once again on lap 159 with the 14 of Clint Boyer getting a good jump on the restart, making the move to the inside of the 57 of Larson. Larson slides it out all the way onto the asphalt out of turn number 2. And the 14 of Clint Boyer is now your race leader here at the Martinsville Speedway. 26 of Ankrum from 4th all the way up to 2nd on this restart. And the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. trying to pull off a 3-wide move farther back. Settles it back down to just 2-wide racing. 19 of Truex going for that 3rd spot, and he's going to take the position away. Big movers on this restart, and the 57 of Larson's going to drop all the way down to at least 4th position. And by lap 162, the number 99 car of Ryan Preece has had a pretty good night going. Currently resides in the 12th position, making a 3-wide move underneath the 48 of Bowman and the 42 of Justin Allgaier. Very risky move to try and make that work here at Martinsville, but he's going to make the move stick, coming off of turn number 4. And on lap 164, the caution flag waves once again as the 10 of Eric Almirola makes contact with that left rear quarter panel of the 7 of Corey LaJoie, spins him around coming off of turn number 2. Manages to keep it off the inside wall, but the caution flag waves once again. Lap 168, no lead lap cars come down pit road. However, the 89 of Landon Castle, 23 of Bubba Wallace, and the 17 of Chris Buescher all hit the pits as lap cars. And the green flag waves once again on lap 171. The 14 of Clinton Boyer gets a great jump on the restart into the first turn as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. made the move stick on the inside of the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. Truex now up into the second position. Larson going to try and follow suit to take up the third spot. Magnussen goes 3 wide on the inside of Eric Jones and Austin Dillon. That's going to move Magnussen close to the top 5 right now to 6th position. As the 57 of Larson on the inside takes up that third position. 14 of Boyer trying to gap the field and score the victory in his final full-time NASCAR Cup Series season. And to make matters worse for the number 7 of Corey LaJoie, he was the reason that we were under the caution flag period. He actually got a restart violation past the 71 of Josh Bilicki before the start-finish line. He will have to come back down pit road to serve a stop-and-go penalty. And by lap 176, the 57 of Larson started to get boxed in by the lap car of Corey LaJoie, who came off of pit road right in front of the 57 of Larson, and that is allowing the 14 of Boyer and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to gap the field. And by the way, Martin Truex Jr. is certainly gunning after that number 14 car, Clinton Boyer, trying to win his way into this championship 4 and have his first chance at the championship since the 2018 season when he finished runner-up to Joey Logano. And by lap 178, the number 16 of A.J. Allmendinger has made his way up into the top 10 in that part-time entry for Colleague Racing. This battle between Clinton Boyer and Martin Truex Jr. goes back a long, long way. Remember back to the 2005, what was then Busch Series Championship. These two battled all the way down to the wire at Homestead-Miami Speedway, chasing after that then Busch Series Championship with Boyer driving for Richard Childress and Martin Truex Jr. driving for Chance 2. These two went on to become teammates at Michael Waltrip Racing. Then when that team dissolved, essentially, Clinton Boyer went on to greener pastures driving for Stewart Haas Racing, Martin Truex Jr. for Furniture Row Racing, and now eventually Joe Gibbs Racing. They both become NASCAR Cup Series champions, and this very well could be the final time that we see these two face off in NASCAR, battling for a race victory here at the Martinsville Speedway. Boyer just trying to score victory in his final career Cup Series season, at least full-time season. And Martin Truex Jr. desperately wanting that automatic advancement into the championship 4, but savor every moment of this because this might just be the final time we see these two do battle in NASCAR. How about this? Lap 186, the 37 of Eric Jones, the North Wilkesboro race winner and Louisville runner-up. He's made his way up into 6th position, really taking advantage of these short track races this season. That really kind of equalizes the field, allows teams such as JTG Daugherty to compete on the high levels of teams such as Gibbs, Stewart Haas, or Hendrick, and Eric Jones has really been taking great advantage of that this season with crew chief Trent Owens. It's been very impressive watching this 37 team run up front on every single short track race of the year. And on lap 190, the lap car of Matt DiBenedetto comes down pit road. Now, this is a little bit earlier than anticipated. If we have some more green flag racing, I would anticipate green flag pit stops, but this is a little bit early to begin coming down pit road. But DiBenedetto, even though he's a lap car, him hitting the pits might just drag a few more cars down with him. The problem with coming down pit road under a green flag condition at Martinsville is if we get a caution during the pit cycle, that now traps you, the driver who pitted, at least 1, maybe 2 laps behind the race leader who opted to stay out. There's a big risk versus reward factor here at Martinsville when it comes to pitting under green, and you'd much rather just make your pit stops under caution, because typically you get a caution flag here at Martinsville, but this race, at least for this current stint, has gone relatively caution-free. And watch this, lap 196, the 34 McDowell overdrives turn 3, and so does the 20 of Brandon Jones. These two make door-to-door contact coming off of turn number 4. Jones a playoff contender in that number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. You know, typically I'd make the joke that car looks like it's been through Martinsville, but that's just been the reality of tonight here at the Martinsville Speedway. That car has been beat on every single side, and yet it's still running and just competitive enough to keep him in a relatively decent points position at the moment. Currently actually outrunning the 4 car of Kevin Harvick because of Harvick's tough luck with that flat tire earlier on. And on lap 200, watch this, the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. opts to come down pit road as well as several others, but Truex, more importantly, trying to short pit the number 14 of Clint Boyer and cycle out with the race lead. If you can't beat them on the racetrack, you can surely try to beat them in the pits. On lap 201, we got more cars into the pits, including Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, and the 53 of Chase Briscoe all coming down. 14 of Boyer still on the racetrack. And on the next lap, Clint Boyer, the race leader, hits pit road, as well as the 57 of Larson and the 26 of Ankrum. The 33 of Jan Magnussen will stay out on the racetrack and hope for a caution flag, as well as the 6 of Ryan Newman. Doing the same, but the majority of the field hits the pits on this lap. And on lap 202, the 33 of Magnussen cuts down pit road and actually slows up the 22 of Logano in the process. Leader hits pit road, as well as the 6 of Ryan Newman and the 00 of Suarez, which actually checks up the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., who was coming off of pit road as the 00 was coming in. Fortunately, they did not make contact. And so we've got 1 car still out on the racetrack who is yet to come down pit road, that being the number 1 of Kurt Busch. We're still awaiting him to come down pit road, and right now he makes a decision. Kurt Busch comes to the pits, and that concludes our pit cycle. A green flag surprisingly stops here at the Martinsville Speedway. And guess what? The number 14 team of Clint Boyer had a very slow pit stop. They actually got off in 3rd position. The 57 of Larson beat them out, and with the short pit, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is now your race leader here at the Martinsville Speedway. And by the way, make note of the 23 of Bubba Wallace. They have yet to come down pit road, so they're actually still on the racetrack. They have yet to pit. They have currently made up a lap and reside in the 4th position. If they get a caution flag, they will get their lap back, which they will lose if they have to come down pit road under green. So this is currently a good strategy call out of veteran crew chief Booty Barker. And you know what? Because of slow pit stops, both the number 18 of Kyle Busch and the 53 of Chase Briscoe have been lapped by the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., who leapfrogged them actually in the pits. And how about this on lap 206, the 00 of Daniel Suarez finds himself in 10th position. He's had a very quiet night, but currently a consistent run going and is actually one of the highest running playoff contenders. In fact, at the moment, he is the 2nd highest playoff contender. The only one in front of him is the race leader of Martin Truex Jr. Another consistent night for this 00 team. It's the exact type of night they need to make this championship for us. They've got a full 27 playoff points to work with. And Martin Truex Jr. is using lap traffic to perfection right now. He has put 5 lap cars between him and the 2nd place contender of Larson. And now Larson and Clint Boyer are going to get to battling on track for 2nd position. And on lap 210, watch this. Clint Boyer knows it's go time. He has to make the move on the 57 of Larson to have a chance at the 19 of Truex. He actually makes contact with the 2nd place runner of Larson, clips him in the left rear, and sends him up into the outside wall. Coming off of turn number 4, the caution flag waves. Larson actually only drops down to 3rd position. However, contact for 2nd position. Clint Boyer sends the number 57 for a slide off of the 4th corner. Then again, this might just be one of Boyer's final times even racing with the 57 of Larson, so it's not like Larson's going to have too many more chances at getting back to him other than this very race. And how about this? The abstract strategy paid off for the 23 of Bubba Wallace. They got their caution flag with the 14 and 57 cars running into each other, got their 4 tires in fuel to make it to the end, and they are back on the lead lap. Even though they're the last car on the lead lap, still they made up a lap with that strategy. You know what? You want to talk about using lap cars to your advantage. Martin Truex Jr. is going to have clear racetrack up in front of him on this restart. However, he has 3 lap cars of Kyle Busch, Myatt Snyder, and Chase Briscoe separating him from the 2nd place car of Clint Boyer. And then Boyer has Half, DiBenedetto, and Keselowski separating him from the 57 of Larson. So quite a few lap cars in the mix for this restart. And so the green flag waves once again on lap number 216 in the Xfinity 500. Clinton Boyer gets physical with the lap traffic already. Coming off of turn number 2, makes contact with the left rear quarter panel of the 53 of Briscoe. Tries to make a 3-wide move, but gets doored down by the 53 car and slowed up on exit. But we had a crash on the restart coming off of turn number 2. The 00 of Suarez, who's running in 9th position, clips the lap car of Josh Blicky, sends him around coming off of the second corner and up in front of traffic. Here comes the 24 Byron. The Stage 1 winner slams right into the 71. Big-time front-end damage on the 24 car. Then the 61, 42 of Allgaier piles into this. The 20 of Brandon Jones, the playoff contender. Then we have the 1 of Kurt Busch, the 8 of Reddick, 17 of Buescher, the 89 of Landon Castle right there, and then the 23 of Bubba Wallace, who just got back on the lead lap. So quite a few cars involved in this one on the back straightaway. But they were not quite done wrecking yet, as we had quite a few cars being shoved into one space racing back to the caution flag. In fact, that right there is 5 wide at Martinsville, which is definitely not something you can get away with doing, as we have a few cars hooked together right here. The 3 of Austin Dillon pushes up into the 16. The 33 gets involved in this, and they carry each other up into the outside wall, clipping the 24 of William Byron. Hard up into the outside wall goes Magnuson, Allmendinger, and William Byron, with a lot of carnage on lap 216 on this restart. And surprisingly, out of those 2 separate accidents, just in that one lap, only one car crashed out of the race in that incident, that being the number 24 of William Byron, who actually got a piece of both crashes. The rest of the cars are still on the racetrack, however, severely damaged. And also, Clinton Boyer actually was not capable of clearing any of the lap traffic, so Martin Truex Jr. still has the 43, 18, and 53 cars, separating him from the second-place contender of Clinton Boyer. And so the green flag waves once again on lap 222 here at Martinsville. And on the restart, the number 14 of Clinton Boyer gets moved into the middle by the lap car of Matt DiBenedetto and gets badly hampered by all this lap traffic, really costing him a chance at closing that gap whatsoever to the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Gets doored right there by the number 53 of Chase Briscoe. And still getting put 3 wide by the 2 of DiBenedetto down on the bottom. So we now have a battle for position. 37 of Eric Jones makes door-to-door contact with the 57 of Kyle Larson. Jones going for the 3rd spot on the inside, and he's going to take it, as Boyer's still getting badly hampered by this lap traffic. And so the 17 of Chris Buescher actually got a restart violation. You see down on the inside, he makes the move on the 1 car of Kurt Busch, coming to the start-finish line, obviously in front of the 1 car at the start-finish line. Yet again, a stop-and-go penalty for this number 17 because of a restart violation. And on lap 223, the 22 car of Logano gets boxed in by the 3 of Austin Dillon, and a chain reaction style accident occurs. The 4 of Kevin Harvick makes contact with the 22 of Logano. Down into the inside wall goes Logano, but the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger gets turned around because of contact with the 4. And then the 99 has nowhere to go. Ryan Preece hard into the back bumper, the 16 of Allmendinger. The field gets kind of boxed in by this accident. The 7 of Corey LaJoie piles into the mess. The 23 of Bubba Wallace actually does a good job at slowing down for the accident. Does make contact with the 99 of Ryan Preece. And we are back under caution once again here at Martinsville on lap 223. The 99 of Ryan Preece is also now out of the race because of severe front-end damage on his Trackhouse Racing Chevrolet. And so the number 14 of Clinton Boyer was actually able to clear the number 53 and 2 cars back to the start-finish line. That means that there is just now 2 lap cars separating Boyer from the race leader. And the green flag waves once again on lap 229 here in the Xfinity 500 from Martinsville. Once again, the number 14 of Clinton Boyer gets badly hampered by the lap traffic down on the inside. The 2 of DiBenedetto gets by him, and now being hounded by the 40 of Quinn Half on the inside, as well as the 53 of Chase Briscoe. He got the 57 of Larson on the bottom, retaking that 3rd spot off the 37 of Eric Jones. But this 14 car getting slowed up by lap traffic is the perfect situation for the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., as after just 1 lap of this restart, Martin now has a 1.5-second advantage above the 14 of Clinton Boyer, and that margin is getting only greater. Have a look at this. The number 57 of Larson puts the bumper to the 14 of Boyer. He did not forget the earlier race run-in. Larson then makes the move down on the inside. Kyle Larson now up into second position with just less than 20 laps to go. But now about 2.5 seconds, the separation from first to second, as Truex really gapping this field and hoping to cruise his way into a championship for advancement and also his first victory at a track not named Dover since 2019 when he scored 6 victories but was eliminated in the round of 16. And on lap 236, the number 34 of Michael McDowell actually door slams the number 10 of Eric Almirola coming off of turn number 2, getting very racy towards the tail end of the field. And by lap 243, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. leads by more than 4 seconds, while the number 57 of Larson has gone absolutely nowhere in lap traffic. And there is still 4 lap cars separating first from second positions right now, as we do have a battle for the third position. Eric Jones on the inside of the 6 of Ryan Newman. And it looks like Jones is going to take away that third spot. It does not look like he's going to have enough time to get to the race lead, but he could easily take away the second position, continuing his good streak of finishing positions on short tracks in the 2021 season. Lap 246, the number 00 of Daniel Suarez still resides in 9th position, getting a very quiet but good points night. And just take a look at that 00 car. It does not have a scratch on it. Suarez has driven a very smart race here tonight. And now just 2 laps to go. Watch this move by the 37 of Eric Jones on the inside. The 57 of Larson locks up the left front tire just a little bit into turn 1, and Jones sneaks by on the inside, taking away that second position. However, the gap all the way up to first position is about 6 seconds. Martin Truex Jr. sees the white flag, half a mile to go. Truex trying to win his second race on the season and lock himself into the championship 4. Down the back straightaway and through the final 2 corners. Martin Truex Jr. runs absolutely unopposed and onto the front straightaway. Martin Truex Jr. will score the victory in the Xfinity 500 here at Martinsville, taking home the grandfather clock and locks himself into the championship 4 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Truex will have yet another chance at the championship, his 4th appearance in the championship 4 and his first appearance since 2018. It looked like he was the championship favorite back in the 2019 season with 6 victories, but was eliminated after just the round of 16. This time, just 2 victories on the year, but he will have a chance at the championship at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Martin Truex Jr., after dominating the final stage here at Martinsville, is now racing for a championship at Atlanta. And so Martin Truex Jr. has scored the victory here at the Martinsville Speedway with 48 laps led. After dominating the latter half of this race, he has won his way into the championship 4 with yet another chance at a title in his NASCAR Cup Series career, chasing after his second NASCAR Cup Series championship. Eric Jones brought it home in second position with a 24th place starting position. He passed quite a few cars to get all the way up to second. Never led a lap on the night, but I bet you if he would have had 50 more laps, he might have just walked away with the victory, because he definitely had the car to beat there in the final 10 laps, but simply ran out of time. Kyle Larson led the most laps of the night with 84 laps led. Had that run-in with Clint Boyer that kind of derailed quite a few things late in the race with that rear-end damage, kind of knocked the rear spoiler down, but he brought it home in third position. Clint Boyer with yet another good race, still has not scored a victory this year, though. 42 laps led on the night and a 4th place finish. Ryan Newman started in 4th position and brought it home in 5th position, just a 1 position loss. Still a very good night for that number 6 team at Roush Fenway Racing, especially compared to his teammate Chris Buescher, who had a very tough night, getting involved in accidents and a restart violation as well. Then we have Chase Elliott, the second highest playoff contender. Started down in 22nd position, raced his way all the way up to 6th position in the number 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. Got a very good points night here at the Martinsville Speedway. Austin Dillon started in 6th position, finished in 7th. A good night for that number 3 team at RCR. Tyler Ankrum, the pole sitter, led 19 laps and brought it home in 8th position. Daniel Suarez with a race car that looked like it finished at, say, Kansas Speedway rather than Martinsville Speedway. It was nearly spotless. Brought that 00 car home in 9th position, just running a smart race and scoring as many points as he possibly could have. And then finally, rounding out your top 10 is the number 48 of Alex Bowman in 10th position. He was the Richmond race winner, had a very decent night here tonight as well. Also a shout out to Jan Magnuson, the road course ace, brought it home in 11th position. And another fellow road course type driver, we have AJ Allmendinger, brought it home in 15th position in the number 16 for Colleague Racing. And here is the playoff points following the first race of the round of 8 here in the Xfinity 500 from the Martinsville Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. has obviously won his way into the championship 4. He does not have to concern himself whatsoever with the events of the Dixie Vodka 400 nor the Yellowwood 500 at Homestead and Talladega Superspeedway. Daniel Suarez with his 9th place finish now sets plus 24 above the cutoff line. Chase Elliott with a consistent finish here tonight now sets 14 points above the cutoff line, and Kyle Busch, the defending series champion, sets 1 point above that cutoff line. Then we have Chase Briscoe sets 1 point on the outside looking in. Then we have the 4 of Kevin Harvick setting 5 points out because of his flat tire. Then Brandon Jones with a tough night overall now sets 9 points for making the championship 4. And then Denny Hamlin with his 42nd place finish because that run-in he had coming off of turn number 2 with the 24 of William Byron. He now sets 19 points out of making the championship 4 in that number 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. And so just for the fun of it, here's an update on the point standings among those who have already been eliminated, as well as those who did not make the playoffs whatsoever. Currently, the best of the rest among those who have already been eliminated from the playoffs, we still have Alex Bowman setting 9th in points. Then Kyle Larson sets in 10th, Joey Logano 11th, Kaz Grella moves his way up into 12th position. Michael McDowell still sets 13th. Matt Benedetto falls down to 14th position. Justin Allgaier still sets 15th in points, and Josh Bilicki still sets all the way down in 16th position. Then we have the contenders who did not make the playoffs whatsoever, such as Clint Boyer sets the best of those drivers, 17th in points. Even though he did not score a victory, which is what ultimately knocked him out of playoff contention, he has scored 8 top 5s and 14 top 10s, 238 laps led. Even if he does not score a victory this season, it's been a very admirable year. Much like Rusty Wallace's retirement season back in 2005, he was incredibly competitive, got a top 5 finish in point standings. However, he did not win a race that season. If we did not have a playoff format, interestingly enough, Clint Boyer would currently be 7th in the point standings. Then we have Eric Jones, sets 18th in points. He has a victory on the season, 8 top 5s and 13 top 10s. It's been a very good year for that number 37 team as well. You got to be excited for what they're capable of doing next season, especially if they can continue this short track success. They might be able to score a victory early in the year and make their way into the playoffs and have a very legitimate chance at making their way possibly even to the championship 4. Then we have Tyler Reddick setting 19th in the point standings. In that number 8 car for RCR, he's been making a very good late season charge up through the point standings. And then we have the number 6 of Ryan Newman. He has busted his way up into the top 20 for Roush Fenway Racing, picking up 3 spots in the point standings here at the Martinsville Speedway. And so now we move on to the second race of the round of 8, the Dixie Vodka 400 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. In the race analysis, the Dixie Vodka 400 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway will take place over the course of 134 laps around this 1.5 mile oval in Homestead, Florida, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 30, and stage number 2 meeting its conclusion on lap 60. And folks, this place has progressive banking, meaning the inside line of this racetrack is banked at 18 degrees, middle groove banked at 19 degrees, and the top side of the racetrack is banked at 20 degrees. And so that means that the outside line momentum is very big at this racetrack. That is, if you can keep your race car right up against that outside wall, obviously without hitting it, that's when you're going to have the most banking and be able to keep up your momentum down the straightaways. We see this type of racing at mostly dirt tracks across the country. Well, it applies very well to racetracks such as this with progressive banking, as you can continue to work that high side and build your momentum progressively. Drivers such as Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick have practically perfected that tactic at this facility. But also, new tires are a very big advantage at this racetrack. They reconfigured it to be progressively banked back in 2003, and ever since, the racing surface has not been touched. That's a full 18 years that this racetrack is practically set. So that means that this racetrack is starting to get very wore out. It does chew up tires. So if we are very late into a run, nobody else comes down pit road except for you, you might take a bit of a hit in track position, but you will make it back up on those fresh tires. And folks, the final stage here at Homestead does have a fuel stop if we do not have a caution flag. You have to run all the way from lap 60 to lap 134, and you cannot do that without coming down pit road at least once, whether that come under green or under a yellow flag condition. That is merely circumstantial. However, if it is in fact a green flag pit stop, you will likely see a lot of strategy of whether or not to take 4 or just right side tires. I do not expect a single person going for just a no tire stop because of how important new tires are at this facility, and if you took no tires, you'd probably end up blowing out a right front over the course of the final stage here in the Dixie Vodka 400. And this being a mile-and-a-half racetrack is, in fact, the most conventional race of the round because we had the short track beating and banging action at Martinsville Speedway. You can get caught up in really anyone else's mistake. And then we have Talladega Superspeedway, which is remarkably unpredictable. Pack racing, any bobble can lead to a 20 or so car pileup at that facility. So this being a mile-and-a-half race in an intermediate facility here at Homestead, this is most likely a lot of drivers' best chance at winning their way in to the championship 4, with it being the most conventional race of the round. Almost no one wants to be left in a position where they're in a must-win scenario at the Talladega Superspeedway. That's a horrible situation to be in. So what you'd much rather do is win here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Dixie Vodka 400 and lock yourself into that championship 4, just like Martin Truex Jr. did last week at the Martinsville Speedway. And folks, win and you are in. In the playoffs, it's the round of 8, the second to last race of the round of 8. And the third to last race of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. You win here today, and you clinch your spot into the championship 4, racing after that title at the Atlanta Motor Speedway if you are one of the 8 contenders still with a chance at the championship. NASCAR once again invited 6 drivers, 2 per manufacturer, to participate in a multi-car next-gen test at the Homestead-Miami Speedway in Homestead, Florida. Drivers invited include the number 14 of Clint Boyer, 43 of Myatt Snyder, the number 20 of Brandon Jones, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., the 22 of Joey Logano, and the 40 of Quinn Houff. And what all 6 drivers notice about this race car, especially at an intermediate racetrack such as here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, is the aero and horsepower package difference that this thing has from the Generation 6 car. As I've mentioned, NASCAR does intend on utilizing a all-star race package for the majority of the schedule next season. So that being the package that we ran for the All-Star race earlier this year at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, that being a 4-inch rear spoiler and also no restrictions on the engine. So you notice a very major increase of horsepower, much greater lack of rear downforce. And also this car being symmetrical on both sides, you do not have that side force playing in your favor if the car does break loose. So this car favors great car control as well as experience. And as I say that, we have Myatt Snyder down the inside trying to take what would be the race lead if this were a race. It's just a test session. But this race car does favor drivers who know how to essentially drive from the seat of their pants. Because this thing, once you break it loose, it's very hard to get back because you don't have that side force working for you. So it's a much more difficult car to drive, and it should produce very entertaining racing next season, as this thing is quite the handful once you get to stepping it out sideways. And with the increase of horsepower and lack of rear downforce, along with the reduction of side force that this thing has, it allows you to close that gap up to the back bumper and make moves much easier. As you see right there, the 43 of Myatt Snyder able to hang on to the back bumper of the 14 of Clint Boyer very easily. He's not getting that aero push off the number 14 of Boyer, which is essentially low pressure going onto the 43 of Myatt Snyder. It's essentially the draft, but once it's in the corners, it starts lifting the front end of the car behind, essentially removing a lot of its front-end downforce, make it very difficult to pass. This car has a much lower profile in the sense of an aero footprint, so it allows moves such as what we're seeing on the inside with the 43 of Snyder trying to get around Boyer, a lot easier to make as compared to the Generation 6 car that we have currently, which makes it a little bit more difficult to try and close that gap and make the move. So all 6 drivers were satisfied with what they experienced out of the next-gen car here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And going off the on-track product that we've seen just from these 6-car tests, there's a lot to look forward to in the 2022 season. Really can't wait for the organizational tests that we'll be seeing over the course of January and those few months, where we see a full field on track testing these things to see how they race against each other. But right now, just this battle between the 43 and 14 is very satisfying. But imagine this in a full field of 40 once we get into the 2022 season. And in the starting lineup, after such a horrible race weekend at the Martinsville Speedway for the Xfinity 500, which included a 40th place starting position and a 42nd place finish with a DNF, Denny Hamlin comes to Homestead-Miami Speedway, where he has found past success and scores the pole in the number 11 machine for Joe Gibbs Racing. Fellow playoff contender Kevin Harvick qualifies outside pole in the second position. Michael McDowell puts his number 34 car with a very impressive third place run in qualifying. Kyle Busch will roll off from fourth position. Jan Magnussen, who's been doing very well in qualifying as of recent, will roll off from fifth position. The playoff contender of Daniel Suarez will start from sixth. Tyler Ankrum will start the number 26 car for GMS Racing from seventh position. The 57 of Kyle Larson will roll off from eighth spot. The number 9 of Martin Truex Jr., who has already clinched his spot in the championship will start from ninth position. And the 55 of Ross Chastain, the Florida native, will start from the 10th position, rounding out our top 10 in the starting grid. Now, other notable starters include the number 1 of Kurt Busch, the 2004 Series champion, will roll off from the 11th position. The number 8 of Tyler Reddick, who is very good at this facility, will start from 12th spot. The 17 of Chris Buescher will start from 13th position. The 61 of Christopher Bell will start from 15th spot. Number 14 of Clint Boyer, who may or may not be running his final Cup Series start at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, will start from 16th. The 40 of Quinn Half will roll off in 17th position. The number 37 of Eric Jones, a North Wilkesboro race winner, will start from 18th position. The number 9 of Chase Elliott, the playoff contender, will start from 19th spot. Then we have the 20 of Brandon Jones rolling off in 22nd. The 43 of Myatt Snyder will start from 23rd. The 53 of Chase Briscoe will start in 26th position. The number 89 of Landon Castle, who has had 2 third-place finishes this season and a very good run at this facility last year, will start from 27th. The number 3 of Austin Dillon will start from 29th. The number 96 of Drew Herring will start from 31st. The number 77 of Justin Haley will start down in 33rd position. The number 23 of Bubba Wallace will start from 36th position. The number 6 of Ryan Newman rolls off in 37th. The number 41 of Cole Custer, who is sponsored by the race sponsor of Dixie Vodka this weekend, will start from 38th position. And then we have the number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting all the way down in 39th position. Drivers who failed to make the race include the number 10 of Eric Almirola was bumped from the starting grid in qualifying. Then we have the 51 of Cody Ware did not make the field, the 66 of Timmy Hill, the 71 of Josh Blicky, and the number 99 of Ryan Preece all missed out on the field in qualifying. It's also worth noting that the number 38 team of Anthony Alfredo skipped this weekend to focus on preparing their car for the Yellowwood 500 and to hopefully have a good run as a teammate to Michael McDowell on the Superspeedway at Talladega. And the green flag waves for the Dixie Vodka 400 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, with a pole setter, the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, getting a good jump off the line. And with the 11 car of Denny Hamlin getting that good jump, that allowed the whole inside line to make a great run through turns 1 and 2, with Michael McDowell taking over the second position, sliding up in front of the second place qualifier of Kevin Harvick. And we had Magnussen and McDowell battling down the back straightaway, with the 34 McDowell beating him down into turn 3. On lap number 2, we see the number 19 car, Martin Truex Jr., pull off a move that we don't see succeed very often at the Homestead-Miami Speedway since this place got reconfigured. Rolls the very inside line of the racetrack and makes his way all the way up almost into third position, battling his teammate Kyle Busch at the start-finish line. But Truex already showing that he has a very strong car here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, going 4 wide into turn 1, forces his teammate Kyle Busch to back off. Truex now going for second, trying to make it a JGR 1-2. On lap number 3, Kevin Harvick rolls the outside line, which is uncharacteristic for the driver, the number 4, makes his way up to second position and gets the run on the race leader and pole sitter of Denny Hamlin. Gets up to the outside of him, coming down into turn number 1, side drafts that 11 car back, drives it off in turn 1, and Kevin Harvick takes away the top spot on lap number 4. Martin Truex Jr. trying to make it the top 3 contenders all running for the championship as he battles alongside the 34 McDowell for the third position. And on lap number 4, we have trouble as the number 17 of Chris Buescher gets kind of sucked around a little bit as he has the number 9 car of Chase Elliott really close to the right side of that 17 car, takes air off that rear spoiler. 17 car is now sliding up the racetrack. He makes contact with the number 9 of Chase Elliott. These two carry each other up into the outside wall. Contact right on that right front for the number 17 of Chris Buescher. Fortunately, though, these two keep it somewhat together, albeit the wall contact. None of them go around and the green flag stays out. However, while the field was checking up for the number 17 and number 9 cars hitting up into the outside wall, the 89 of Landon Castle clips the 22 of Joey Logano, sends him right down into the 42 of Justin Allgaier. Allgaier and Logano both go spinning around on the front straightaway. And once again, an innocent bystander is the 77 of Justin Haley. Makes contact with the front end of that number 77 into the rear end of the 42 of Justin Allgaier. Justin Haley with a lot of front end damage, and the caution flag already waves. Racing back to the caution flag, the number 18 of Kyle Busch makes a great move on the inside of the racetrack, getting his way around the 34 of Michael McDowell. Coming back to the start-finish line and to the caution flag, Kyle Busch takes up the 4th position. And your top 4 contenders are all running for the Championship 4. And at the moment, 3 of your top 4 belong to Joe Gibbs Racing, with Harvick out in front for Stewart Haas Racing, and then the JGR teammates of Hamlin, Truex, and Kyle Busch behind them. Lap number 6, we have a split in pit strategy with the top 4 contenders all coming down pit road, as well as several other drivers, including the one of Kurt Busch, 24 of William Byron. As you can tell, almost an even split among contenders, but we have quite a few cars opt to stay out. With the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, now your race leader, above the 34 of Michael McDowell, 57 of Kyle Larson, the playoff contender of Daniel Suarez, and the rest of the field opts to stay out, which includes another playoff contender, that being the 20 of Brandon Jones. So I'd say about 60 or so percent of the field comes down pit road this time by. Surprisingly, though, the number 9 of Chase Elliott, who got involved in that incident off turn 4, does not come into the pits. And the most recent race winner, Martin Truex Jr., got in trouble on pit road coming out of his pit stall. Here comes the 33 of Magnussen coming in, and these two make contact. Front end damage on the 33 car, but a lot of rear end damage on the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Granted, it doesn't matter all that much because he won last week at the Martinsville Speedway. He's already clinched his spot into the Championship 4, but still damage on the number 19 as well as the 33 of Magnussen. And a lot of cars went for fuel-only stops. However, the first car that put on 4 fresh Goodyear tires was the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. So a bit of loss of track position right there for the number 4 car, but he is on fresh tires, even though it might not make that much of a difference after just 7 laps have been completed. On lap number 7, the 61 of Christopher Bell comes down pit road as well. So it looks like we're going to have pit strategy going all throughout this caution flag period. And on lap number 8, we have even more cars coming down pit road, including the race leader of Tyler Ankrum. The 57 of Kyle Larson also hits the pits, as well as the 9 of Chase Elliott, the 88 of Brad Keselowski, and the 6 of Ryan Newman. So now your new top 3 has the 34 Michael McDowell out in front, with the playoff contender of Suarez running in second, and the number 8 of Tyler Reddick running in third position. Watch out for Reddick on this restart. He is very, very successful at this racetrack, especially in NASCAR's Xfinity Series. And so the green flag comes back out on lap number 10 here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. On lap number 10, the 00 of Daniel Suarez makes a look down to the inside of the 34 McDowell. The 8 of Reddick trying to make it work up on the outside, his signature high line. The 00, though, of Suarez backs out coming into turn 3, allowing the 20 of Brandon Jones to challenge him down on the bottom. 3-wide racing going on right there as Reddick takes over second. 34 McDowell still out in front. On lap number 12, the 8 car of Reddick gets to battling the 34 of Michael McDowell. That slows those two down the back straightaway. The 00 of Daniel Suarez sees an opportunity up on the outside and makes a 3-wide move into turn number 3, taking away that top spot up on the high side through turns 3 and 4. As you see the 43 of Myatt Snyder jumping up to the top side as well. And that 43 car for Richard Petty Motorsports getting a good run right now in the Tax Slayer Chevrolet. Suarez now out in front. And on lap number 15, the 20 of Brandon Jones makes a move up on the outside of the 34 of Michael McDowell, taking over the second position. And as you can tell, the damaged number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is making his way through the middle. A bit of drafting help actually coming for the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. He's definitely making his presence known here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Not racing for points as he won last time out at Martinsville Speedway, just trying to score his second victory in a row. And watch this on lap number 16. The 20 of Brandon Jones gets to battling with the 00 of Daniel Suarez. That slows those two's momentum down just a little bit, allowing the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to carry great momentum off the high side of turn number 4. Gets up to second position. Then on lap 17, makes a move on the high side through turns 1 and 2. And with a damaged rear end on that number 19 car, makes his way to the top spot. Picking up right where he left off at the Martinsville Speedway. And it almost makes you wonder if that rear end damage is helping the 19 because it knocked that rear spoiler down. It is likely costing him mid-corner downforce, but it is most certainly helping him down the straightaways, as now the entire top 5 is playoff contenders. On lap 18, up on the outside line, the 20 of Brandon Jones takes over the second position off the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Joe Gibbs Racing now controls the top 2 positions, with Hamlin trying to take over that third spot, making a JGR 1-2-3 sweep. On lap 19, the 14 car of Clint Boyer rolls great momentum down on the inside line of the racetrack and takes over the third position. On lap number 20, we got the 21 of Austin Cindric trying to perfect the Reddick and Larson line right up by the outside wall, and gets great momentum coming off of turn number 4 and actually gets his way around the 00 of Daniel Suarez with that high line momentum, as we now have the 4 of Kevin Harvick trying to take over the third position off his teammate Clint Boyer, and it looks like he is going to do that coming off of turn number 2. Might get a run on the 20 of Brandon Jones down the back straightaway as well. And through turns 3 and 4, Kevin Harvick completes the pass on the 20 and the 14 of Brandon Jones and Clint Boyer to take over that second position. Less than 10 laps to go in stage number 1. Very quick stage here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. trying to hang on. On lap 23, we have trouble on the back straightaway and coming into turn number 3, as there's contact coming off of turn 2 between the 12 of Ryan Blaney and the 96 of Drew Herring. Blaney clips the 96 of Herring in the left rear quarter panel, sends Herring down onto the apron, has to catch that Gaunt Brothers Racing Toyota Camry. Now they're running almost 4 wide down the back straightaway with Herring, Blaney, DiBenedetto, and Bowman in the mix. The 96 then crowds the 12 up the racetrack. The 12 gets clipped by the 2 of DiBenedetto. The 2 gets clipped by the 48 in an accordion-style accident up into the outside wall. The 12 goes into the wall with a hard impact, as well as the 2 and 48 cars. And trouble coming into turn number 3 as that 12 car has suffered massive damage. And here's the accident in real time. Coming off turn 2, the 12 makes contact with the 96 of Herring. Turns the 96 car down to the apron. He's trying to remerge with the racetrack. Gets clipped by the 12 and hard into the outside wall goes the 2 Penske cars of Blaney and DiBenedetto. Is right there. You see the 2 of DiBenedetto getting turned around, finished off by the 48 of Bowman. Caution flag waves once again on lap 23. And so the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. led the field back to the caution flag, and the only car out of the race following that accident is the number 12 of Ryan Blaney. And on lap 24, most of the field hits pit road, being led down by the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. and the 20 of Brandon Jones. However, we have quite a few notable contenders staying out on the racetrack, 4 of them to be exact. We have the number 4 of Kevin Harvick staying out, as well as his teammate Clint Boyer, and the 24 of William Byron, and the damaged number 77 of Justin Haley. All opt to stay out, so they are now your new top 4. In the closing laps of stage number 1, they're going to take the gamble for track position that will hopefully for them pay off to take home the stage 1 victory. And the first car out of the pits was barely the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. above his teammate Brandon Jones, and the 21 of Cindric picked up quite a few spots in the pits, being the 3rd best car off of pit road. And on this restart, watch out for the damaged number 77 of Justin Haley, restarting all the way up in 4th position as the field goes into the Geico restart zone. There's the green flag with just 3 laps to go in stage number 1. And already on the restart, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. got boxed in by the slow car of the 77 of Justin Haley. Haley has a lot of front-end damage. In fact, is missing his front bumper cover and hood. That car obviously is not going to handle favorably with that much of a lack of front-end downforce, let alone how much damage was incurred on that thing. But checks up the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. for the whole first lap of the restart. And how about this? The number 20 team's call to put on fresh tires worked out perfectly. Watch Brandon Jones drive his way straight through the middle of both the 14 of Boyer and the 24 of William Byron as the C's part for him. Now just 2 laps to go in stage number 1. 20 of Brandon Jones makes the move to the inside. The 4 of Kevin Harvick into turn 1. Almost no contest. Brandon Jones takes away the top spot with now less than 3 miles to go in the first stage here in the Dixie Vodka 400. And he's put quite a few cars in between him and the next car on fresh tires, that being the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Looks like he's got smooth sailing ahead in the final lap of stage 1. And just look at the number 4 and 14 cars of Boyer and Harvick get swarmed by those on fresh rubber. There goes the 8 of Reddick down on the inside as Brandon Jones now gets the white flag in stage number 1. The number 2 car, Matt Benedetto's on pit road. He's having fuel pickup problems. As you recall, he was involved in that crash on the back straightaway. As you can tell, the 8 of Reddick already really putting a gap above those cars that opted to stay out, as the number 20 of Brandon Jones has a more than 1 second advantage above the second place contender of Reddick. Rolling his way now through turns 3 and 4, the playoff contender of Brandon Jones is going to come onto the front straightaway to take home the victory in stage number 1 here in the Dixie Vodka 400. Brandon Jones wins the first stage at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The number 8 of Tyler Reddick made his way all the way up to second position. The 21 of Austin Cindric took third spot. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. in fourth. Then the highest car on old tires, that being the 14 of Clint Boyer, brought it home in fifth position. The number 4 of Kevin Harvick actually dropped all the way down to ninth spot over just those last 3 laps of stage 1. And just like what we saw in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race here at Homestead, we had trouble in the Cup Series race after the caution flag had already been flown. Watch this. The number 4 of Kevin Harvick cuts up the racetrack as the number 1 of Kurt Busch heads down just a little bit. And these two hook coming into turn number 1. Remember, the caution flag is already out. The number 1 makes contact with the right rear of the 4 of Kevin Harvick. The playoff contender of Harvick goes up into the outside wall and gets finished off by the 1 of Kurt Busch. Busch has right side damage. The 4 of Kevin Harvick has some damage as he slides down the racetrack and fortunately does not get hit. But Kevin Harvick winds up in trouble following the end of stage number 1 here in the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Not too much damage on the number 4 team. Fortunately, it looks like they'll be able to continue going in this race with minimal trouble. As you have already been able to tell, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. has even more damage than this 4 car has, and he's running all the way up in 4th position, so possibly the damage doesn't matter all that much, but still, very risky incident for the number 4 team of Harvick getting involved in the crash while the caution flag was already out. On lap 31, the only 2 cars to come down pit road include the number 1 of Kurt Busch and the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who obviously just got involved in that accident coming down to turn 1. On lap number 33, the 14 of Clint Boyer opts to come down pit road and essentially cut his losses on those old tires that he was running right at the end of stage number 1. However, surprisingly, the number 24 of William Byron is still on the racetrack with those old tires and appears to be committed to them for the beginning, at least, of stage number 2. And the green flag will wave for stage number 2 here in the Dixie Vodka 400 on lap number 35. Martin Truex Jr. got a good restart in the number 19 DeWalt Toyota Camry, made his move up to the outside through turns 3 and 4, took up the 3rd position. And as the 8 and 20 cars battled for the top spot, that slowed up the 8 of Reddick down on the inside. Martin Truex Jr. takes advantage of the 8 cars' momentum getting disrupted, and Martin Truex Jr. takes over the 2nd position. And during their most recent pit stop, they did get some of that rear bumper cover damage repaired on the 19 car of Truex. Looks much better than it did earlier on in stage number 1. On lap 37, take a look at this battle for the top spot. 8 of Reddick down on the inside, 20 of Brandon Jones, and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. tries to stick his nose through the middle and actually makes contact with his teammate of Brandon Jones coming off of turn number 2. A very dicey moment between the JGR teammates. When Brandon Jones shoots out to take away the top spot in turn number 3, Martin Truex Jr. trying to take over 2nd, and then we got Hamlin going for the 3rd spot. 4 playoff contenders up on the outside line, but Tyler Reddick hanging tough down on the inside. And on lap 38, the number 11 of Denny Hamlin makes his move up on the outside line to take over the 3rd position, making it a JGR 1-2-3 here at Homestead currently. And on lap 39, Denny Hamlin makes the move up on the outside of his teammate Martin Truex Jr., and Hamlin takes over the 2nd spot. The pole sitter in the FedEx number 11 Toyota Camry back up into 2nd, making the charge towards that top spot, currently being held by the Stage 1 winner of Brandon Jones. And, you know, watch this move on lap number 41. You got the 00 of Daniel Suarez up on the outside line, and Just take a look at the inside line of the racetrack. It almost looks like the JGR teammates hook up down the back straightaway. That whole inside line of JGR cars plus the 8 of Tyler Reddick gets single file and skates right by the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Almost teamwork going on here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway to keep the JGR cars up front. And Martin Truex Jr. has nothing to lose. He's already advanced his way to the championship four, but right there, sticking to the inside line did not work out for the 19 of Truex, as Suarez is now trying to take away that third spot as Truex concedes the position through turns 1 and 2. And you know what? How about this? By lap 42, the 23 of Bubba Wallace currently runs all the way up in 13th position. This team has struggled to make quite a few races, but it seems like once they do make a race, they have a pretty good run in it. And to begin lap number 43, the 8 car of Tyler Reddick shoots by the 11 of Denny Hamlin up on the outside using that signature highline momentum, and Reddick is now your second place contender. And on lap 45, the 11 of Denny Hamlin makes the move up on the outside of Reddick. Pretty much the same situation, but in reverse. Hamlin takes over the second spot, but the 20 of Brandon Jones lost a lot of momentum, taking the inside line off turn 4, and Hamlin, your pole sitter, takes away the top spot once again on lap 46, and he's got his other teammate, Martin Truex Jr., following him suit up on the outside. Also, we got the number 9 of Chase Elliott starting to make his presence known in the top 10. He won here back in 2019, and he currently runs in the 10th position. And watch this run by the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. up on the high side on lap 49. Rolls that great outside line momentum. Passes the number 20 of Brandon Jones and gets that run on his other teammate, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Gets side by side with him at the start-finish line. And Martin Truex Jr. makes the move stick through turns 1 and 2. Truex back out front here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, going for that second win in a row. And that number 19 team is definitely getting hot at the right time. And by the way, number 55, Ross Chastain, the Florida native, now runs up in the 6th position. On lap number 52, the 8 car of Tyler Reddick makes a great move up on the outside, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Reddick back in the second spot. On lap number 53, the 8 of Tyler Reddick challenges the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. up on the high side. These two run side by side. The 8 of Reddick gets a little bit loose up on the outside. The 19 of Truex shoots by down on the bottom. And now Martin Truex Jr. back out front here at Homestead. The number 2 car of Matt DiBenedetto has dropped out of today's race due to the damage that he suffered earlier on in today's race in that run-in coming into turn 3 with his teammate, Ryan Blaney. And as you can tell, the number 20 of Brandon Jones has now taken over the 2nd position. Rolled outside line momentum coming off of turn 2 and cleared the 8 of Tyler Reddick. Watch this move by the 00 of Daniel Suarez down the front straightaway. Closely side drafts the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, almost runs him onto the inside paint and onto the apron. But Suarez does a good job at side drafting that 11 car back and makes the move up on the middle line. He ran the number 11 car so far to the bottom of the racetrack. And Suarez takes over that 4th position as Chase Elliott makes a 3-wide move up on the outside of Cindric and Chastain. That's going to move Chase Elliott up into 6th position. On lap number 58, Chase Elliott makes a 3-wide move on 2 other playoff contenders. Jumps up to the outside of the 00 of Daniel Suarez and the number 11 of Denny Hamlin and makes that 3-wide move stick right up by the outside wall. Chase Elliott clears the 00 of Suarez, trying to clear the number 11 of Hamlin to make his way into 4th position. And with 2 laps to go in stage number 2, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. has finally closed in on the slow lap car. The number 77 of Justin Haley. Really his only obstacle from here to the end of stage number 2. Right there makes the move up to the outside of the 77 of Justin Haley. He's going to do it cleanly as Martin Truex Jr. sees the white flag in stage number 2 here in the Dixie Vodka 400. Number 20 of Brandon Jones also has to get around the 77 car cleanly to have a chance at the 19 of Truex. However, Brandon Jones gets boxed in through turns 1 and 2. That allows the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to put about a 1.5 second separation on the 2nd place contender of Jones, who is still stuck behind the lap traffic. Truex rolls through turns 3 and 4 with clear sailing up in front. Martin Truex Jr., who won at the Martinsville Speedway last week to clinch a spot in the championship 4, will now win stage number 2 here in the Dixie Vodka 400 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, picking up right where he left off in the Xfinity 500 at Martinsville. Martin Truex Jr. will win stage number 2 above the number 20 of Brandon Jones. Number 8 of Tyler Reddick in the 3rd position. Number 9 of Chase Elliott got all the way up to 4th. And the 11 of Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter, brought it home in 5th position. On lap 61, following stage number 2, none of the leaders come down pit road. However, we do have a few cars hitting the pits, including the 57 of Larson, the number 4 of Kevin Harvick, the number 14 of Clint Boyer, and the 24 of William Byron. Also, this strategy call might just play into their hands since they had dropped to the tail end of the field. If you recall in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, the strategy call that Stuart Friesen and John Leonard put together, which got Stuart Friesen into the top 10 over the course of the final stage in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, got on those fresh tires and drove their way through the field. That might be a very good strategy call for those 4 drivers that are hitting the pits this time by. As you recall, the 24 car of William Byron didn't even come down pit road at all during stage number 2, so he definitely needed fresh tires. On lap 62, we have even more cars coming down pit road, including the playoff contender of Daniel Suarez, his teammate Ross Chastain. The 42 ducks onto the pits. The number 6 of Ryan Newman, Bubba Wallace, Kurt Busch, and just a few others also dive onto pit road. The number 57 of Kyle Larson comes back into the pits for a loose wheel on his very recent pit stop. However, that's not going to matter that much because he'll only lose 3 positions by coming back into the pits to begin with. On lap 63, we have 2 more cars ducking onto pit road, those being the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 41 of Cole Custer. And the green flag will wave for the final stage here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway on lap number 65. And on the restart, the number 20 of Brandon Jones tries to make the move down on the bottom of his teammate Martin Truex Jr. down the back straightaway. He's got some drafting help coming from the number 8 of Tyler Reddick. So there's nearly a 5-wide move getting made towards the back of the field as we got cars on fresh tires trying to best those on older rubber. 19 and 20 cars race to the start-finish line side by side. 19 of Truex gets the advantage with that high side momentum. And look at this incredible racing we had towards the tail end of the field on lap number 66. That's because we got cars down on the inside on fresh tires racing their way right by those on the older rubber. And so we got 4 and 5 wide racing, cars almost running all the way onto the apron. Well, watch the number 17 of Chris Buescher, and in particular, actually, the 14 of Clint Boyer. Watch, he tries to go to the inside of the 22 of Logano. That makes it 5 wide on the front straightaway. Just 1 car too many as the number 17 of Chris Buescher clips the left rear quarter panel, the 48 of Bowman, down to the 57 of Larson, and then gets the car somewhat corrected, but he's sliding up to the right. There's the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Harvick has nowhere to go, clips the 17 of Buescher in the right rear. Up into the outside wall goes both the 17 and the 4 of Buescher and Harvick. Pretty significant damage, especially on the number 4 of Kevin Harvick, the playoff contender racing for a championship for advancement. He's got a lot of damage, especially on the front end of his Mobil 1 Ford Mustang. The yellow flag already waves. And so the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. leads the field back to the caution flag, about the 20 of Brandon Jones and the 8 of Tyler Reddick. By the way, how about this on those fresh tires? The 24 of William Byron made his way all the way up to 12th position. An incredible rally on that restart. And on lap number 67, everybody comes down pit road with the exceptions of Martin Truex Jr., Quinn Houff, Myatt Snider, Clint Boyer, and Alex Bowman. Everyone else hits the pits. Then on lap number 68, the 40 of Houff, the 43 of Snider, 14 of Boyer, and 48 of Bowman all come down pit road, and that leaves the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. as the only car still on the racetrack without having come down pit road. He is either going to be a sitting duck or have to come down pit road next lap and lose all of his track position. But the top 3 cars off of pit road include the 24 of William Byron, who just went for gas only because he just recently put on tires from the second and most recent caution. We have the 20 of Brandon Jones and the number 9 of Chase Elliott. That's assuming the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. comes down pit road, which would be the most logical decision to make from this point forward. So that would be the 24, 20, and 9 cars as your top 3. And so on lap number 70, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. pits from the lead by himself. He is going to sacrifice all that track position that he had, but he will have the freshest tires of anybody on the racetrack. Even though it's just a couple laps, it may make a difference, especially when you got a car as strong as his. And so take a look at this. On lap number 71, the 95 of Harrison Burton, drops out of line to come down pit road to try and get some of that rear end damage that he got off of pit road repaired. And so I believe possibly the number 55 of Ross Chastain thought that he was supposed to line up behind the 95. Still maybe didn't get the memo about the 95 car of Burton coming into the pits. Either way, he essentially abruptly slows up coming off of turn number 4. Maybe it was just barely surprised by the 53 car of Chase Briscoe slowing up abruptly, but the 55 car stabs the brake pedal, and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. piles into the rear bumper of the 55 of Ross Chastain. Quite a bit of front-end damage now on the 19 of Truex. Fortunately, no damage to the radiator on that car, but he's been involved in quite a few incidents under caution, especially when it comes to pit stops. Got rammed in the rear end by the number 33 of Magnussen earlier on. Now gets front-end damage from his teammate of Ross Chastain. Best thing they can hope for on the number 19 team is that this damage does not affect him, much like the damage that he received earlier from the 33 car of Magnussen. But this time, the damage on the 19 car is on the front end, the part of the car that rams the air, so that likely will be detrimental to that number 19 car's performance. And on lap 72, the lap car of Justin Haley pits with the pace car as William Byron, the new race leader, leads the field in the Geico restart zone. And there is the green flag on lap number 73. Here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones making the move up on the outside, coming into turn number 1. Positioned himself very well to try and use that high line momentum already. Trying to side draft that 24 car of Byron back. However, coming off of turn number 2, it looks like the 24 Byron has cleared the number 20 of Brandon Jones as Chase Elliott now runs in third position. It appears to be JGR versus HMS once again, just like what we saw at Michigan. And on lap 73, coming off of turn number 4, the 20 of Brandon Jones beats the number 24 car at the start-finish line. Brandon Jones, the stage number 1 winner, is back out front in the Dixie Vodka 400, clears the 24 down to turn 1 as the HMS teammates battle for second. On lap number 75, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott makes a good run through the middle line of the racetrack, clears the number 24 of Byron, and also gaps the 11 of Denny Hamlin, now getting the run on the race leader of Brandon Jones as the 11 of Hamlin almost made contact with the 24 of William Byron coming off of turn 4. Here comes Chase Elliott up to the outside of the 20 of Brandon Jones, battling Jones for the top spot now through turns 1 and 2, trying to side draft that 20 coming off the second corner. He gets side by side with the 20 car. Right there, it looks like the 20 of Brandon Jones is once again cleared the number 9 of Elliott. And, Will, I don't think Chase Elliott liked being cut off on the entry to turn number 3, because watch this down the front straightaway. The 9 car of Elliott essentially bump drafts the 20 all the way down the front straightaway. And even though that might have been done out of frustration, actually did allow them to gap the 11 car of Hamlin just a little bit, but Hamlin caught them right back up on entry. And we had big trouble on lap number 77. Watch this. The number 50 of Kaz Gralla slides up and makes a little bit of contact with the playoff contender of Kyle Busch, getting Kyle Busch sideways, and actually sends him down into and clipping the number 88 of Brad Keselowski. Keselowski goes for a spin down the back straightaway, loops it, and keeps it off the inside wall, but the caution flag is already waving. And believe me, that looked like that was the end of the accident, but we almost weren't even at the beginning yet. As coming into turn number 3, there's the 50 of Kaz Gralla on the apron, turns down to try and avoid the majority of the pack, but then slides through the infield grass back up onto the racetrack and makes contact with the 37 of Eric Jones. Big hit into the number 96 of Drew Herring, slides up into his teammate, the number 3 of Austin Dillon. Very large hit there. 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. piles in. The regular season champion, the 22 of Logano. Big hits already in this crash through turns 3 and 4. Here comes the 41 of Cole Custer. Cannot slow up in time. Big hit into the number 22 of Logano, and here comes the 88 of Keselowski, just plows right into the 96 of Drew Herring. The C's then part for the 43 of Myatt Snyder. Not so lucky for the 14 of Clinton Boyer. A very large impact into the rear bumper of the 96 of Drew Herring. Kicks that number 96 Peacock Toyota Camry up into the air, pirouetting as it goes. Number 4 of Kevin Harvick then piles into the mess as the inside line is just clogged. 4 of Harvick gets a lot of damage out of this, as well as the 17 of Chris Buescher. However, the number 95 of Harrison Burton misses this crash, but about 8 or so cars involved in a large crash through turns 3 and 4 at Homestead. And here's a look at the crash in real time for the number 96 of Drew Herring. Many large hits taken in this crash. Fortunately, no injuries to any driver. Right there was a big impact for Herring. Many cars piling into this one. Gets then slammed by the 88 of Keselowski, then a big hit by the 14 of Clint Boyer and the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. And Kevin Harvick's day is now done here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. He is essentially going to be in a must-win scenario coming in to the final race of the round of 8, the Yellowwood 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway. And so while there was carnage unfolding through turns 3 and 4, the number 20 of Brandon Jones actually used the lap car of Justin Haley to his advantage and clears the number 9 car of Chase Elliott, racing back to the caution flag. And there you see the large accident coming off of turn number 4, and the 96 of Herring taking those large impacts, especially from the 14 of Clint Boyer. And we have a very large list of cars all knocked out of the race following that accident, including the number 96 of Drew Herring, 3 of Austin Dillon, 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 41 of Cole Custer, 88 of Brad Keselowski, 14 of Clint Boyer, 48 of Alex Bowman, 4 of Harvick, and the 17 of Chris Buescher all had their races ended right there in that one crash. Interestingly enough, on lap number 78, the only car that comes down pit road is the race leader. The number 20 of Brandon Jones, he goes for a fuel-only stop as that team did not believe that they could make it all the way to the finish with the amount of gas that they had had. They must have possibly spilt more than they would have wanted on their most recent pit stop. The rest of the cars that come down pit road are all damaged. And so now your new top 3 on track has the number 11 car of Hamlin out in front above the 9 of Chase Elliott and the 24 of William Byron. And on lap number 80, we have the third place contender, the number 24 of William Byron, hits pit road, as well as the 89 of Landon Castle and the 53 of Chase Briscoe. All those pit stops are fuel only. The new third place contender is the 00 of Daniel Suarez. That means your entire top 3 is racing for championship 4 position. And so the green flag comes back out on lap number 82, and the 11 car of Denny Hamlin gets a great jump on this restart, mainly thanks to the number 77 of Justin Haley separating him from the second place contender of Chase Elliott. And right after the restart, through turns 3 and 4, Justin Haley overdrives his car trying to keep up with the non-damaged front runners and actually slaps the outside wall through turns 3 and 4. And that does allow the number 9 of Chase Elliott to easily clear him. And you know what? How about this? With front and rear end damage, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is splitting the difference right now, busting his way right up into the top 10 and now charging his way now to the top 5, making his way around the 57 of Kyle Larson. This number 19 team is definitely getting hot at the right time. Very late in the season, they very well could take home their second win in a row here tonight. They finally got their monkey off their back at the Martinsville Speedway, winning at a racetrack not named Dover. It looks like tonight they might just go for 2 in a row. And watch this, coming into lap number 88. The number 9 of Chase Elliott pins the number 11 of Denny Hamlin all the way down on the bottom of the racetrack. Side drafts him very aggressively down to the apron. Forces the number 11 all the way onto the bottom, practically where it's flat. Just 18 degrees of banking all the way down on that inside line. Forces the 11 car of Hamlin to back off the throttle. And the 9 of Chase Elliott slips by up on the outside line and take away the top spot as here comes the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. going for the third spot. On the 00 of Daniel Suarez and the 11 of Hamlin trying to make it 3 wide now for second. As the number 11 of Hamlin pulls back to the inside of the 9 of Chase Elliott, they are side by side to the line. Elliott will lead the lap. And at the end of lap number 89, the 9 car of Chase Elliott finally clears the 11 of Denny Hamlin. As the 11 car bobbles coming off of turn number 4, and the 00 of Suarez shoots by up on the outside to take away second. 18 of Kyle Busch also now into third position. The top 5 once again are playoff contenders. One of them already locked in, obviously, Martin Truex Jr. with his win at Martinsville. On lap 91, Kyle Busch makes the move work up on the outside, the 00 of Suarez, and Kyle Busch takes over the second position in the Sport Clips Toyota Camry. As look at his brother, Kurt Busch, who got involved in that earlier race incident with the number 4 car of Kevin Harvick. He threads the needle right now up into the top 5, going for the 4th position on the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. And coming into lap number 93, Kyle Busch gets a good run off of turn number 4 up on the outside line and gets side by side with the number 9 of Chase Elliott through turns 1 and 2. Holds that high line momentum coming off of the second corner. Kyle Busch then side drafts the number 9 car of Chase Elliott down the back straightaway still battles him through turns 3 and 4 side by side. And this is what fans love about the progressive banking here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. You can continue side-by-side racing. We're right there off of turn number 4 as the 9 car got loose down on the bottom. The 18 of Kyle Busch shoots by to take over the top spot. And how about this? Martin Truex Jr., with damage on both the front and rear ends of that number 19 car, takes over the second position. Looks like all the damage that car has endured over the course of this race has not slowed that thing down whatsoever. And look at this on lap 94. Martin Truex Jr. gets a good run off of the 4th corner on his teammate Kyle Busch. And with a tremendous amount of front-end damage, buckling that hood up on the 19 car of Truex, you wouldn't think it'd have very good front-end downforce, but he makes the move stick up on the outside. Martin Truex Jr. is back into the top spot here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Kurt Busch, who also has damage, it looks like he's poised to take over the second position off his younger brother Kyle. Although Kurt looks to the middle line, can't quite do it as the 19 of Truex clears them through turns 3 and 4. Chase Elliott going to try and make it 3 wide for second as Kurt Busch takes over the second spot. The top 2 cars here at Homestead, an intermediate racetrack, have been involved in some type of incident over the course of the race. Kurt Busch was involved in a crash under caution, and Truex has been ran into both in the front and rear ends. As now the number 18 of Kyle Busch retakes that second position off of his older brother Kurt off of the second corner. On lap 98, Kyle Busch gets a run on the inside line of the racetrack and battles the 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. down the back straightaway. However, through turns 3 and 4, the 19 of Truex holds that high side momentum and clears him off of the 4th corner. And on lap 99, watch this move by the number 1 car of Kurt Busch. Gets up side by side with the 19 of Truex, tries to side draft him back, and with those two battling side by side, Kurt's younger brother Kyle sees an opportunity down on the bottom. They're 3 wide for the top spot coming off of the 4th corner. At the line, it is Truex barely leading the lap, and a Busch brother sandwich at the moment. Through turns 1 and 2, though, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. will prevail as the 1 car of Kurt Busch backs out and the 18 of Kyle Busch loses his momentum on the inside coming off of turn number 2. And coming into lap 101, the number 1 car of Kurt Busch clears his younger brother Kyle for the second position, with the 11 of Denny Hamlin taking over 3rd spot. And from lap 102 to 106, the 11 of Hamlin and 1 of Kurt Busch battled side by side the whole time. And finally on lap 106, the 11 car of Hamlin uses that high side momentum to clear the 1 car of Kurt Busch for the second position. Now trying to reel in his teammate Martin Truex Jr. If he can make his way around the 19 car and score the victory, he will automatically clinch a spot in the championship 4, making it 50% JGR gunning after the championship already, at least already locked in if Hamlin can win this. And on lap 108, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott makes a move 3 wide up on the outside of the 00 of Daniel Suarez and the 18 of Kyle Busch. And that moves the 9 car of Elliott back up into the top 5. Lap 109, the number 11 car of Hamlin challenges the 19 of Truex down on the bottom. But that higher line momentum prevails for the 19 car of Truex. And Truex clears him coming off of turn number 2. And how embarrassing is it for the rest of the competition to not be able to make their way around a severely damaged car such as the 19 of Truex. And look at this charge up on the outside line on lap 109. You got the 9 car of Chase Elliott going 3 wide now, attempting to take over the second position as the 8 of Reddick shoots by through the middle to take that second spot. Tyler Reddick trying to take his 3rd career NASCAR Cup Series victory. It's very late in the year for Reddick to still be shut out of victory lane, but this is easily his favorite racetrack and definitely a prime opportunity to score the victory here tonight. Lap 111, the 8 car of Reddick gets to battling side by side with the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., but still just can't quite clear him. As you recall earlier on, the 19 of Truex was the last car to hit pit road, so he does have just a couple lap tire advantage above his competitors, but you wouldn't think it'd be enough to overcome his front end damage. But so far it is certainly looking like it, as up on the outside line, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott retakes that second spot as the 8 of Reddick drops back. And on lap 114, the 8 car of Reddick makes the move up on the outside of the number 9 of Chase Elliott, right up by that outside wall, his signature racing line. And Tyler Reddick takes over the second position. And on lap 116, the 8 car of Reddick challenges the 19 of Truex for the top spot all the way down on the bottom. Once again, Truex will prevail coming off of turn number 4. The 19 car still out front. And we saw this in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race with both the 88 of Matt Crafton and the 41 of Dawson Cram having flat tires late in the going that brought out a caution flag. Well, guess what? This time in the Dixie Vodka 400, the 50 of Kaz Grilla has a right rear tire go down, and the caution flag will wave on lap 117. Very late in the going in this playoff race, the yellow flag is now being displayed. And racing back to the caution flag, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott pulls off a great outside line move on the 8 of Tyler Reddick. And Chase Elliott retakes that second position as the field takes the caution flag for a very late race restart here in the Dixie Vodka 400. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is still your race leader. And remember that he still has a tire advantage above the field by just about 3 or so laps. And so absolutely nobody came down pit road as they felt it was too critical to keep that track position. Pace car hits pit road. Martin Truex Jr. leads the field into the Geico restart zone with just 13 laps to go. And there is the green flag in the Dixie Vodka 400 for what could be the final restart. Martin Truex Jr. gets off to a great jump through turns 1 and 2 as the 8 of Reddick and 9 of Chase Elliott resume their battle for second. And running through turns 3 and 4 towards the tail end of the field, the number 6 of Ryan Newman overcharges the corner and makes contact with the outside wall. Lap 123, the number 11 car of Hamlin rim riding here at Homestead. Right up by that outside wall, takes over the 4th position, and now your top 4 contenders in the closing laps, just 11 laps to go, are racing for a championship for advancement. Now Truex has already earned one of them, while the number 9, 00, 11, 18 and 20 cars, which are all running in the top 10, are racing for that automatic advancement into the championship for Atlanta. There goes the 11 car of Hamlin up to the outside line once again, from 4th all the way up to 2nd on this lap. Trying to reel in the number 19 of Truex with just 10 laps to go and win his way into the championship 4. And Martin Truex Jr. is just not quite running as well on the short run, but this 11 car has really come to life. Coming off of turn 4, Hamlin gets up to the outside, the 19 of Truex, and that's just enough to start side drafting the right rear quarter panel, the 19 of Truex, forcing him all the way down the racetrack. Even knowing their teammates, they're racing on track for the race victory, and Hamlin knows if he can beat the 19 car of Truex, that could be an automatic advancement into the championship 4 without having to even concern himself with the events at the Talladega Superspeedway. And Hamlin makes the move for the top spot down the back straightaway. Denny Hamlin, your pole sitter, is now the race leader inside 10 laps to go. Lap 127, we got a 3-car battle for this top spot. 11 of Hamlin out in front. Kurt Busch and Martin Truex Jr. battling for that second position, and really now it might be 4 or 5 cars in the mix because the 8 of Reddick is still in the thick of this battle, as well as the 9 of Chase Elliott. On lap 128, we got a 3-wide battle for second. Reddick in the middle, Truex on the bottom, Kurt Busch up on the outside. And the move gets made by Kurt Busch, rolling that high side momentum. Carries that run down the front straightaway, even knowing Reddick beats him at the start-finish line through turns 1 and 2. The number 1 car of Kurt Busch backs up that corner entry, picks up the throttle early, and Kurt Busch shoots by to take over that second position, with his sights set on the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, but Hamlin's going to do everything he can to try and maintain that race lead, going for that championship 4 advancement. Down on the inside on lap 129, the 8 of Reddick takes over the second spot as the 1 of Kurt Busch drops back just a little bit. Reddick going to try and challenge the 11 of Hamlin down the front straightaway. Couldn't quite do it as Hamlin carries that higher line momentum down the front stretch. On lap 131, the 11 car of Denny Hamlin jumps down to the bottom line to try and block the advancement of the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr., his teammate. However, he leaves the middle and top sides open, and that allows the 8 of Tyler Reddick to roll great momentum down the back straightaway. Reddick, with a push coming from the number 1 of Kurt Busch, shoots by to take away the top spot in the closing laps of the Dixie Vodka 400. Tyler Reddick is now your race leader with a nearly 3-wide move on Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. down on the inside, who backed off big time in the apex of 3 and 4. Almost like there's something wrong on the number 19 car, but that car is fading badly in this final stint of the race. Reddick is out front. The 1 car of Kurt Busch takes over second. It looks like we're set up for a playoff spoiler here tonight with the top two contenders now not chasing after the championship. Reddick and Kurt Busch both going for their first wins of the season. And watch this move with just 2 laps to go. Reddick runs the middle line, Kurt Busch all the way up on the outside, and that one car builds great momentum coming off of turn number 2. Gets side by side with the 8 of Reddick. Rolling that momentum down the back straightaway. Kurt Busch in the 1 car for Chip Ganassi Racing, who got involved in an earlier race crash, makes the move for the top spot coming off of turn number 4, and he sees the white flag in the air. 1.5 miles to go for Kurt Busch in the Gear Wrench Chevrolet as he clears the 8 car of Tyler Reddick on the front straightaway. Now the battle begins for second position. Brandon Jones, who remember came down pit road for that fuel-only stop, restart all the way down in 31st position. He's made his way back up to 3rd, going for 2nd on the final lap. Kurt Busch just has to hang on for half a lap to take his first victory of the 2021 season. Makes his way through turns 3 and 4. Reddick down on the bottom. Brandon Jones on the outside. Jones going to take away the 2nd position, but it's not going to be enough. Kurt Busch onto the front straightaway will take home his first win of the 2021 season, scoring the victory in the Dixie Vodka 400. Kurt Busch, the 2004 NASCAR Cup Series champion, wins his 33rd career NASCAR Cup Series race as a playoff spoiler, holding off the number 20 of Brandon Jones, who was racing after a championship for advancement. Didn't quite have enough time, had the fastest car in the closing laps, but just did not have enough laps. If Brandon Jones would have had maybe another 5 or so laps on the race, I bet you he could have made the move on the 1 car of Kurt Busch, but Busch got out in front at just the right time. He led only 2 laps in tonight's race and has scored the victory, upsetting the field as a playoff spoiler here in the Dixie Vodka 400. And he bests the number 20 of Brandon Jones, who just barely misses out on automatic advancement to the Championship 4 at Atlanta. And so Kurt Busch pulls off the victory with a fantastic finish. Only led 2 laps of tonight's 134 laps completed, but he scores the victory, leading less than 3 miles of the race. Kurt Busch gets his first win of the 2021 season and gets Chip Ganassi Racing its 2nd win of the season after winning at Watkins Glen with the number 42 team and Justin Allgaier. Brandon Jones just barely misses out on advancement to the Championship 4, was less than 2 car lengths behind the number 1 car at the drop of the checkered flag. The stage number 1 winner comes up just a little bit short. Tyler Reddick had a very good night going, almost won the race, but still a very respectable 3rd place finish out of Reddick and the number 8 team, which has struggled pretty much all season long. Then you have Martin Truex Jr., who did battle his way back to 4th position, led a race high 58 laps, absolutely dominated this race, even with all that damage that he had on the DeWalt Toyota Camry. However, the late race caution jumbling up the field, the number 19 car just wasn't the same after that restart. The number 11 car of Denny Hamlin actually dropped all the way down to 5th position. He actually led the exact same amount of laps as the number 20 of Brandon Jones, with 22 laps led on the night. The Joe Gibbs Racing cars were great all night long, mainly Jones, Truex, and Hamlin. However, none of them go to victory lane. It is the 1 car of Kurt Busch stealing that victory. Number 9 of Chase Elliott brought it home in 6th position, a very respectable points night. Same situation with the 00 of Daniel Suarez, brings it home in 7th position. If Elliott and Suarez can just have a decent race at Talladega, they might just be on a fast track to an advancement to the Championship 4. Kyle Busch takes home an 8th place finish in the number 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing, with just 2 laps led on the night. Tyler Ankrum in the GMS Racing number 26 Chevrolet finishes in 9th position. And the number 57 of Kyle Larson rounds out your top 10. Also a shout out to the number 33 of Jan Magnussen, bringing home a 12th place finish. Historically, Magnussen really only shines on road courses, but recently he's been starting to get oval racing somewhat figured out. It's been very impressive seeing that 33 car starting to run up front at more oval racetracks. And so here are the playoff standings following today's Dixie Vodka 400 from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Obviously, Martin Truex Jr. won the Xfinity 500. from Martinsville Speedway, so he has clinched a spot in the Championship 4. Daniel Suarez with yet again another consistent night at Homestead, just been clicking off top 10s as of recent. Suarez with all those playoff points he scored from a high placing position in regular season point standings, as well as 4 wins on the season, now places him plus 27 points above the cutoff line. Chase Elliott in the number 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports now sets plus 18 points above the cutoff line. Kyle Busch, the defending series champion, sets just 3 points above the cutoff line. That's a very narrow margin to have. And the runner-up finisher in today's Dixie Vodka 400 still sets minus 3 points from an advancement to the Championship 4. It really puts into perspective just how important scoring a victory might be here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, because if he would have been able to pass the 1 car of Kurt Busch on the final lap, he would have absolutely nothing to worry about at Talladega. However, coming into the Yellowwood 500, he actually has to make up a 3-point deficit, and that's just the difference that one position on track can make. Then the number 53 of Chase Briscoe now sets minus 9 from the cutoff line. The number 16 of Denny Hamlin, minus 16 points from the cutoff line, still hurting from that 42nd place finish that he scored at the Martinsville Speedway. And now Kevin Harvick, because of his DNF here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, comes into the Yellowwood 500, minus 31 points from advancing into the Championship 4. That is pretty much a must-win situation for Kevin Harvick at Talladega. And so just for the fun of it, here is the point standings among those who have already been eliminated from playoff contention, who made the top 16. Currently, the best of the rest is the number 57 of Kyle Larson, setting 9th in points. Behind him, we have the 48 of Bowman, 22 of Joe Logano, 34 of McDowell, making his way up to 12th in points. Kaz Grella sets 13th in point standings. Justin Allgaier 14th, Matt DiBenedetto in 15th, and Josh Bilicki rounding out your top 16. Then we have the highest drivers in point standings who did not make the playoffs whatsoever, such as the 14 of Clint Boyer, currently setting 17th in points. The number 37 of Eric Jones sets 18th in point standings. The 8 of Tyler Reddick, 19th. And the number 1 of Kurt Busch moves his way up into the top 20 with his victory here tonight at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And so now we move on to the final race of the round of 8, the penultimate race of the NASCAR Cup Series season, the Yellowwood 500 from the Talladega Superspeedway. In the race analysis, the race that sets the Championship 4 in the NASCAR Cup Series, the Yellowwood 500 from the Talladega Superspeedway, will take place over the course of 94 laps around this 2.66-mile Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap 20 and stage number 2 meeting its end on lap number 40. And folks, because of the aero and horsepower package that NASCAR has brought to the Superspeedway here at Talladega, expect pack, slingshot, and tandem racing in different forms all throughout today's race. You'll see pack racing early on in the races because of the high horsepower, high drag package that we're running. You're going to see slingshot style moves like we used to have back in the early 1980s here at Talladega, as well as tandems start to form very late in the runs, much like what we saw in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, when we saw the Starcom Speed Station trucks versus the Thor Sport trucks late in the going in a tandem style fashion. Expect all those different forms of racing all in one package here today in the Yellowwood 500. And NASCAR and Goodyear have once again brought a hard tire compound here to the Talladega Superspeedway. And what that means is it's not very sticky of a compound. And so after about 10 or so laps into a run, you will have to start lifting here at the Talladega Superspeedway, especially if you're down on the inside line, having all that air being buffeted onto your race car, removing that air from the rear spoiler, getting the car loose, you will have to start lifting. So that kind of breaks up the pack just a little bit and brings handling back into the equation, something that we haven't talked about at Talladega since early 2006. And this place, dependent on its aero package that we've seen throughout years past, sometimes the inside line's dominant, sometimes the very top side of the racetrack's dominant. Well, now NASCAR has kind of nailed this package to where there is no such thing as a preferred line. The preferred line is the line that has the most strong race cars in it. The one that has the fastest cars in it is the line that's going to move the fastest. It does not matter whether that's the top, the middle, or the bottom. It's wherever the fast cars are is the line that will be moving here in the Yellowwood 500. And this is your final chance at the Championship 4, the 35th race of the season, the second to last race of the year, If you're one of these 8 contenders and not named Martin Truex Jr., who's already won his shot into the championship four, this is your last chance. Because of this being your last chance, desperate moves are expected. We're at Talladega. Any small bobble could lead to a 30-plus car pileup, much like we saw here in what is now the Xfinity Series back in 2002. But with all this intensity of the playoffs on top of that, any mistake that could be made out of desperation could lead to a massive pileup. So that's what you have to watch out for over the course of these 94 laps here at Talladega. And this is the last time I get to say this. It's the second to last race of the year. Everything has led to this moment. If you're one of those 7 drivers who have yet to clinch a spot into the championship four, win and you are in, especially if you're a driver such as Kevin Harvick. Comes into this race, sure, with a mathematical chance at it, but he's minus 31. You might as well just throw all the points out the window and go after the victory. It's the only way to really secure your spot into the championship four. It's time to make it happen. Win your way into that championship four. Do not concern yourself with points here today in the Yellowwood 500, unless you're one of those drivers such as Brandon Jones or Chase Briscoe, who's really close to pointing their way in. If you're a guy like Hamlin or Harvick, it's time to score the victory and make your way into this championship four. And so NASCAR invited 12 drivers to participate in a multi-car next-gen test at the Talladega Superspeedway. That is twice the normal amount of drivers that they had test as compared to the facilities that we've tested at so far in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs during the final 10 weeks of the season. And that is just so that NASCAR can test super speedway-style drafting packages. And I believe that they've nailed a pretty good combination with this next-gen car so far. And that includes 650 horsepower and a straight-up-and-down 9-inch blade on the back of the car. It does not have a 90-degree lip on it as compared to what we started the season with the Super Speedway package on the Generation 6 car. That's because NASCAR is worried that 90-degree lip on the back of the car that is 1 inch in length creates too much lift when the car turns backwards. And by the way, the 12 drivers at NASCAR invited to participate in this test include Harrison Burton, Ryan Blaney, Drew Herring, Myatt Snyder, Justin Haley, Austin Dillon, Eric Almirola, Ryan Newman, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell, Anthony Alfredo, and Tyler Reddick. But now that I've gotten all their names out of the way, the reason that NASCAR invited these 12 competitors to participate in this test is unlike the August test that we had at Daytona, which was mainly just powerhouse teams. There's a bit of a 4-wide move getting made right there in a test session by Bubba Wallace. But as compared to the Daytona test, which was just powerhouse teams, this test is all teams that did not make the playoffs in the NASCAR Cup Series. And that's so that NASCAR can help these teams that kind of compose the latter half of the top 30 in points with having some of this data that they were worried that powerhouse teams that participated in the August test at Daytona might have a leg up on the competition even worse. Essentially, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer was NASCAR's fear with this. That's why they conducted this test with 12 teams that did not make the playoffs. And all 12 drivers and teams were very impressed with what they experienced out of this package. Essentially, it drives a lot like a NASCAR Camping World truck. And that's because of that giant 9-inch blade on the back of the car and 650 horsepower. You have a lot of power, but you're being drugged back by the sheer amount of aerodynamic downforce that this race car has with the Super Speedway package. So it makes the runs very quick, but the speed's somewhere right around 193. They're not insanely fast like we had at Talladega back in the spring with the Generation 6 car where they were going 205, somewhere around there. Rather dangerous speeds. But NASCAR's gotten these speeds down about 10 or so miles an hour slower than what they were back in the spring with the Generation 6 car with this next-gen car, even knowing there's a large increase of horsepower. So all 12 drivers and teams were very impressed with what they experienced out of this next-gen car at the Talladega Superspeedway. The throttle response that you have, its ability to draft up on other cars. And I'm sure that if we do, in fact, run this package at the Daytona 500 next season, it should create phenomenal racing, as this package is being modeled essentially after the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, which is famous for putting on fantastic shows on super speedway racetracks. And in the starting lineup, how about this? Jan Magnussen has scored the pole here at the Talladega Superspeedway. This is his second pole in the last few races. He scored the pole back at Michigan. So this team has really gotten their ducks in a row when it comes to super speedway qualifying, because Magnussen won the pole obviously out at Michigan in what is practically now a Daytona Talladega style super speedway package. comes here to Talladega, scores the pole as well in that number 33 Chevrolet Accessories Camaro. Then we have the number 43 of Myatt Snyder qualifies in the second position. The number 62 of Noah Gregson will start from the third position. And we have yet another super speedway ringer, the number 87 of Timothy Peters driving for Nemco Motorsports. He will roll off from fourth position. The number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will start from fifth spot. The number 3 of Austin Dillon will start in sixth position. Number 88 of Brad Keselowski, who scored quite a few victories at this facility in the past, will start from seventh. Another super speedway ringer, the 31 of Ty Dillon, will start from eighth position in his Germain Racing Chevrolet. The number 37 of Eric Jones, the second JTG Daugherty racing car to be in the top 10, will start from the 9th spot. Then Trackhouse Racing's number 99 of Ryan Preece will start from the 10th position. Other notable starters include the number 14 of Clint Boyer starting from 12th position in what may be his final start at the Talladega Superspeedway. Then we have the number 38 of Anthony Alfredo. That team skipped the race at Homestead-Miami Speedway to prepare for today's Yellowwood 500. And the preparation definitely paid off with a 15th place starting position. Then we have the number 61 of Christopher Bell starting from 16th spot. The number 4 of Kevin Harvick, who's in a must-win situation essentially, will start from 17th. Then we have last week's winner, the 1 of Kurt Busch, starting from 18th position. The 41 of Cole Custer will start from 19th spot. The 18 of Kyle Busch will start from 20th position. He's currently plus 3 points above the cutoff line. The runner-up in the Daytona 500, Stephen Parsons in the number 09, that car being serviced by 2311 Racing, will roll off from 22nd position. We have the number 77 of Justin Haley starting from 24th. The 11 of Denny Hamlin will roll off from the 26th position. The number 71 of Josh Blicky, the Daytona 500 champion, will start from 27th. Then we have the 34 of Michael McDowell, who won this race last season and the most recent Super Speedway race at Daytona, will start from the 28th position. Then we have the race winner at Talladega earlier in the spring. The Geico 500 winner of Brennan Poole for On Point Motorsports will start from 29th. Then we have the number 7 of Corey LaJoie starting in 32nd. Then we have the 10 of Eric Almirola starting from 33rd position. The 23 of Bubba Wallace, the pole sitter here from the spring, will start from 34th. The number 20 of Brandon Jones, the runner-up last week at Homestead, will start from 36th position. The 00 of Daniel Suarez will start all the way down in 37th position. Then we have the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., won at Martinsville Speedway and almost scored the victory at Homestead, will roll off from 38th position here at Talladega, struggling in Super Speedway qualifying. A.J. Allmendinger, who missed out on the victory back in the spring at Talladega by just 3/1,000ths of a second, will start from 39th position. Then we have the number 96 of Drew Herring starting from 40th, the playoff contender of Chase Elliott starting from 41st position, and then yet another playoff contender, Chase Briscoe, rolls off all the way down in 42nd position in his number 53 RCA Chevrolet. And then we had quite an extensive list of drivers failed to make today's Yellowwood 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway. We typically have some of the largest entry lists of the season at the Superspeedway races. Take a listen to all the drivers who did not make the show. Names who DNQ'd include the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, the number 17 of Chris Buescher, the 24 of William Byron, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, number 46 of Chad Fincham, number 48 of Alex Bowman. That's 2 Rick Hendrick cars right there failed to make the show. Number 51 of Cody Ware did not make the field. His teammate J.J. Yaley also failed to make it. The 55 of Ross Chastain did not make the field. The 57 of Kyle Larson missed out in qualifying. The number 60 of Casey Mears, 66 of Timmy Hill, 78 of B.J. McLeod, and finally the number 89 of Landon Castle all failed to make the field here in today's Yellowwood 500. Quite a few heavy hitters miss out on the starting grid here at Talladega. And the green flag waves for the Yellowwood 500, the final race of the round of 8, as the field already fans out into 3 and 4 wide racing. At the end of lap number 1, the inside and outside lines run fairly evenly through the tri-oval, with the 62 of Gregson pushing the number 33 of Magnuson to where the pole sitter will lead lap number 1 here in the Yellowwood 500. On lap number 2, the 42 car of Justin Allgaier down the back straightaway has a flat left rear tire, pulls out of the pack and slows down abruptly. Flat left rear tire on the 42 car of Justin Allgaier. Tough break already after just the second lap here at Talladega for this number 42 team. And while Allgaier was pulling out of the pack, the 62 of Noah Gragson popped down to the inside of the 33 of Jan Magnuson, and with the push from the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the 62 of Noah Gragson is now your race leader, but here comes the 47 of Stenhouse down on the bottom with the 88 of Brad Keselowski. But now Keselowski tries to go all the way on the inside, putting the 47 into the sucker hole in the middle. On lap number 3 up on the outside line, the 62 car of Noah Gragson gets pushed out in front of the 2 inside lines by the 33 of Jan Magnuson, and Gragson clears the field off of the second corner. And so the number 42 car of Justin Allgaier came to a halt in the middle of turns 3 and 4 because that flat left rear tire, and will bring out the caution flag on the 3rd lap here at Talladega. And racing back to the caution flag, the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. made the move on the inside of the 62 of Noah Gragson. Stenhouse got some drafting help from the 88 car of Brad Keselowski through the tri-oval. And it was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 47 for JTG Daugherty Racing, leading the field back to the caution flag as the 88 of Keselowski tried to make a move down to the bottom, but simply ran out of time. And so after stalling in between turns 3 and 4 because that flat left rear tire, the number 42 of Justin Allgaier has now fallen 1 lap down behind the race leader of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. And the green flag comes back out here at Talladega on lap number 8. And as you can tell, the field already fanning out, just coming to the start-finish line. And down the back straightaway, the 41 of Cole Custer and the 62 of Noah Gragson got hooked up down on the inside line of the racetrack and shot their way past the outside line of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the 88 of Brad Keselowski, with the 62 of Gragson taking away the race lead, but then goes the 41 to the inside, with traffic help coming from the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. Cole Custer, for the moment, holds the race lead here at the Talladega Superspeedway as the inside and outside lines battle. Outside line has a little bit better organization with the 62 of Gragson leading the lap. At the end of lap number 9, Tyler Reddick down on the inside makes it 3 cars wide for the top spot, and in fact 2 rows deep, as Timothy Peters and Tyler Reddick work together all the way on the inside line of the racetrack. The 8 car of Reddick is now your race leader as the outside line loses its organization. Reddick is out in front for Richard Childress Racing, but here comes the 87 down on the bottom. Rockets out into the race lead as the field has already started to lift on older tires after just 10 laps have been completed here at the Talladega Superspeedway. The Nemco Motorsports number 87 is now out in front. And by lap number 10, the number 4 car of Kevin Harvick, in his nearly must-win situation, is in fact the highest-running playoff contender, the only one within the top 10, as there's now a battle side-by-side between the inside and outside lines as the 1 of Kurt Busch tries to go to the top spot with some help from a fellow Chevrolet. Behind him, that being the 43 of Myatt Snyder. At the start-finish line, it will be the 87 of Timothy Peters to lead the lap. Lap number 11, the 43 of Myatt Snyder pushes the number 1 car of Kurt Busch clear of the outside lines. Kurt Busch is now your race leader in the Yellowwood 500, but coming off of turn number 4, Myatt Snyder abandons the number 1 car of Kurt Busch, gets picked up by the 41 of Cole Custer, and now Myatt Snyder rockets out to the race lead in the 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports. And down the back straightaway on lap number 12, the 41 of Cole Custer gets pushed out to the top spot by the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Custer, now your race leader in the Yellowwood 500. But towards the end of lap number 12, the 38 of Alfredo and the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hook up, with Stenhouse taking over the top spot coming off of turn number 4. And as you can tell, there's not very many playoff contenders running up towards the front of this pack, and that is on purpose. Many of the round of 8 contenders are hanging out towards the back of the field with the old Jimmy Johnson strategy of stay in the back and wait for these front runners to end up in some type of accident and be able to avoid that crash when it happens, as now the 38 of Anthony Alfredo gets pushed out to the race lead by the 12 of Ryan Blaney. The inside and outside lines battled side by side for the next lap and a half until lap number 15, when the inside line, being led by Alfredo, with a push from the 12 of Blaney, finally managed to work their way past the number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. that had been pinching them all the way down on the inside line to stay side by side with them. But then down the back straightaway, the 12 of Blaney pops out, as well as the 8 of Tyler Reddick, trying to make it 3 wide for the top spot. Reddick backs out just a little bit to try and get back in line as the 12 of Ryan Blaney takes the race lead coming off of turn number 4. Kevin Harvick, still your highest running playoff contender, and the driver who sets in second to last right now is the 00 of Daniel Suarez. He isn't taking any chances at the moment. And so Ryan Blaney held a comfortable lead for about one lap. That is until the 88 of Brad Keselowski gave a great push to the number 62 of Noah Gragson. With a huge run on the number 12 of Ryan Blaney, Gragson goes to the top spot on lap number 17, and as you can tell, the pack has started to form up with big groups of three-wide racing, but the 88 and 62 cars have tandemed their way into a bit of a breakaway with the 14 of Clint Boyer tagging along. But down the back straightaway, the 88 of Brad Keselowski makes the look down to the inside, going after that top spot on the 62 of Gragson. Does not have much drafting help down on the bottom. The 14 of Boyer sides with the 62. And it's the 12 and 88 cars down on the bottom. Coming off of turn number 4, it looks like the 88 of Brad Keselowski is going to get the advantage as the inside line is now formed up once again. Lap number 18, the battle for the top spot gets very racy as down the back straightaway. The 12 of Blaney goes down to the bottom. Trying to leave the 88 car, Brad Keselowski stuck in the middle. 62 of Gragson getting a push up on the high side. Watch the number 11 of Denny Hamlin. Tries to make a 4-wide move. Coming into turn number 3. Has to back out to just avoid an accident right there. As Denny Hamlin chokes up the very inside line of the racetrack. 62 of Gragson still holds that top spot. 88 of Brad Keselowski trying to side draft him back, but right there the 62 cuts down to the bottom with that top spot. With just 2 laps to go in stage number 1, we had some dicey racing among playoff contenders towards the tail end of the field. Watch Chase Elliott down on the bottom. Makes a 4-wide move on Suarez, Harrison Burton, and Ty Dillon as a little bit of contact gets made between Suarez and Harrison Burton. But a lot of these playoff contenders hanging out at the tail end of this field, including Chase Briscoe running second to last. Inside and outside lines battle right now. The 88 and 62 cars working together up on the outside. 2 RCR teammates on the bottom of Kaz Gralla and Austin Dillon. The white flag now waves in stage number 1 for Kaz Gralla, who leads it at the stripe. Less than 2.66 miles to go in stage number 1. The outside line has 2 cars that work together very well as the inside now separates. Here comes Austin Dillon to the inside of his teammate Kaz Gralla. That's going to disrupt the inside line's momentum. And the 62 of Gragson actually clears them. Down the back straightaway with very limited help. Gragson blocking each and every line. Quite a bit of an advantage right now above the second place contender. About 3 car lengths right now. They're going to have a very good draft on him coming back to the start-finish line. Kaz Gralla running in second position. Noah Gragson trying to hang on for his first career NASCAR Cup Series stage victory through the tri-oval. He's going to get it. Noah Gragson will win stage number 1 in the Yellowwood 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway. As the field crossed the start-finish line going 4 wide in multiple rows, but Gragson holds on to win stage number 1. Above the number 50 of Kaz Gralla in second position. 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in third, 88 of Brad Keselowski in fourth, and the number 3 of Austin Dillon in the 5th position. And on lap number 21, every single car comes down pit road, and that means we're going to have an incredibly busy pit road, even knowing this is one of the widest pit roads in NASCAR. When you have 42 teams pitted on it at once, it gets rather congested. So coming off of pit road, there was trouble, as you'd expect after having 42 cars on pit road at once all getting service. But right here, watch the number 43 of Myatt Snyder, comes out of his pit stall, gets boxed in just a little bit by the 33 of Magnussen, has to cut to the right and makes contact with the 87 of Timothy Peters. A lot of right side damage on that 43 car, but fortunately nothing worse than that. No further cars got involved in this one either. But your top 3 out of the pits has Noah Gragson getting out in the first position for Beard Oil Motorsports, with the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the second position, and the 88 of Brad Keselowski getting off in the 3rd spot. And so, as unlikely as this may sound, Daniel Suarez, who had just come down pit road for service, actually has a flat tire under caution on lap number 23. Now, fortunately, it was under caution, so he will still be back on the lead lap. He just has to limp this car around without causing the tire to fully rip apart and cause damage to the 00 car. He's doing a good job at that right now, all the way down on the apron, just limping that car back to pit road so they can change out that tire and get the 00 car back on the racetrack in race contending condition. And so the green flag will wave for stage number 2 here in the Yellowwood 500 on lap number 25. As look at the 34, Michael McDowell already jumping up right out to the outside wall to try and make up track position. And so the 37 of Eric Jones actually got posted by NASCAR for this restart. You see he jumps down to the inside of the 7 of Corey LaJoie and actually does beat the number 7 car back to the start-finish line. That is a restart violation for this number 37 team. Eric Jones will have to serve a stop-and-go penalty under green flag conditions, and if he does not catch a caution flag, he will likely be stuck one lap down. Lap number 25 coming into turns 3 and 4. The 88 car, Brad Keselowski, gets a good run down to the inside of the 62 of Noah Gragson, abandons his drafting partner from earlier on in this race. Keselowski now leads the inside line. Gragson leads the outside, and the inside has a little bit better organization, at least for the moment. 3 cars in each line, but at the start-finish line, it's going to be the 62 of Noah Gragson to lead the lap. Now through turns 1 and 2, the 88 car of Brad Keselowski is going to get the advantage. He gets a strong push from the number 40 of Quinn Half out to the top spot. And so Keselowski took over the race lead on lap number 26, but through turns 3 and 4, Quinn Half actually made the move down on the inside, the number 40 for Chip Ganassi Racing. Got side by side with the 88 car of Keselowski. Coming off of the 4th corner, Quinn Half is now out front in the Yellowwood 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway, being pushed by 2 Front Row Motorsports cars on the bottom of Anthony Alfredo and Michael McDowell. On lap number 27, the 38 of Anthony Alfredo tries to pull off a move down on the inside of the 40 of Quinn Half, but that actually slows up the inside line's momentum and allows the 62 and 88 cars of Gragson and Keselowski to push their way by, and Brad Keselowski is back into the top spot on lap number 27. And so by lap number 28, the number 11 car of Denny Hamlin is currently the highest running playoff contender as he makes his way around the number 4 of Kevin Harvick, but we do not have a single championship contender running in the top 15 at the moment. But down the back straightaway, we have the lanes battling inside and outside lines going after it, with the 40 being pushed by the 38 and the 88 car getting pushed by the 62. Lanes side drafting, which is drawing them almost dead even right now as the 47 Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now dives to the bottom of the 38 of Anthony Alfredo and the 62 of Gragson. That moves Gragson up to the top side without any drafting help, and now the 88 of Keselowski is going to lead at the start-finish line. Here comes the 47 all the way down to the bottom, makes the move. 3 car of Dillon follows him to the inside line of the racetrack. He lifts off just a little bit on entry. And now the 62 and 88 cars working together once again up on the top side. Nobody else with very much drafting help. 47 is going to be able to work with the 40 down the back straightaway. But Keselowski gets pushed to the race lead once again by the 62. Gragson and Keselowski have been working together extremely well over the course of this race. And now the 23 of Bubba Wallace, the pole sitter from the Geico 500 in the spring, trying to make his way up in the top 5. Coming into lap number 30, the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets pushed down on the inside line by the 3 of Austin Dillon, but then Dillon gets put up into the middle line, with the inside line now dissipating right there with the 38 car of Alfredo backing off. The 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets some help from the 62 of Noah Gragson down the back straightaway, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is back out front in the Yellowwood 500. And racing through turns 3 and 4, the 62 car of Noah Gragson easily makes the move for the race lead once again, as there is the lap car of Eric Jones up in front of the race leaders. That's obviously the car that had to serve that restart violation stop-and-go penalty. Here comes Austin Dillon down on the bottom, making the move with a push coming from the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. The lap car boxes up the middle line of Dillon, allowing Gragson to shoot by with the top spot. Noah Gragson re-clears the field for the race lead here at Talladega, with the 38 of Anthony Alfredo assuming the second position. How about the 18 of Kyle Busch? The playoff contender has made his way up into third position, now going for second. He has not won at Talladega since 2008. And watch this, the 11 car of Denny Hamlin gets side drafted back by the 88 of Brad Keselowski, so much so that the 11 actually gets loose coming in to turn number 3. Those two have a little bit of history between each other, stretching back to Louisville and the All-Star race. And on lap number 31, the 18 of Kyle Busch sets up a great move on the inside of the 62 of Noah Gragson. Kyle Busch takes away the top spot coming off of turn number 4, using the drafting help from the lap car of Eric Jones to his advantage. Kyle Busch is your race leader. Joey Logano takes over the second spot. And coming down to turn number 1 on lap 32, the 22 car of Logano abandons the 18 of Kyle Busch, makes the move with the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Joey Logano is now your race leader here at Talladega. However, the outside line drew even with the 22 car down on the inside, with Kyle Busch getting the push from the lap car of Eric Jones, and Kyle Busch actually fought his way back to lead at the start-finish line. And on lap number 33, coming out of turn number 2, the 3 car of Austin Dillon almost tandems his way out with the number 22 of Joey Logano, sending Logano to the top spot. Then the 3 car of Dillon jumps down to the bottom, trying to work with the lap car of Eric Jones. But down on the inside, the 3 car of Austin Dillon gets loose after getting side drafted by the 37 of Eric Jones, and the top 3 cars break away from the pack. 62, 18, and 22 cars get a very big separation above the rest of the field as Kyle Busch goes down to the inside to try and make the move. Gragson sides with Logano, and Joey Logano is going to lead at the start-finish line with great help coming from the Beard Oil Motorsports number 62. And once again, Kevin Harvick making his presence known in the top 10, currently runs in 7th position, pretty much in a must-win scenario here at Talladega. And watch this run up on the high side by the 62 of Gragson and the 3 of Austin Dillon. 22 of Joey Logano is kind of dragging his brake right there to work with the middle line, but then Kyle Busch gets loose, has to back off the throttle, which then essentially eliminates all the momentum of the middle line. Then the inside line dissipates as Bubba Wallace jumps to the bottom of the 22. The 62 and 3 cars push their way past the field up on the high side, and Noah Gragson is back out in front of this field. Austin Dillon assumes second position with great RCR power up on the top side, as that 62 car is an RCR engine and chassis package. But then the 3 of Dillon jumps down to the inside of the racetrack. Austin Dillon now takes over the top spot. Harvick going to try and work with the 3 car, as those two will be future teammates at Stewart Evernham Racing. But then Harvick then jumps 3 wide to the bottom. He's in a must-win scenario. Bubba Wallace sides to work with Noah Gragson, and Gragson once again gets pushed out to the top spot as the 3 car gets loose on entry to turn 3. Wallace takes over that second spot as there's about a 3 or 4 car breakaway. Lap 36, the number 23 of Bubba Wallace easily makes the move to the inside of the 62 of Noah Gragson, hangs him out to dry, and Wallace takes over that top spot through turns 1 and 2, but then Harvick shoots down to the inside with some help coming from both Busch brothers, but then Kurt Busch separates from the 18 car of Kyle Busch. But Kevin Harvick takes away that top spot down the back straightaway. Kurt Busch, the most recent Cup Series race winner from Homestead, makes the move down on the inside. Then a 4-wide move gets made by the 53 of Chase Briscoe, the playoff contender. He backs completely out of the throttle to avoid an accident, as Harvick still holds that top spot. 18 of Kyle Busch now second, Bubba Wallace in third, 53 of Chase Briscoe backed out to now right around 10th position. Kyle Busch makes the move up on the outside. Here comes Magnussen trying to go 3 wide. Harvick leads at the line, Magnussen going for second. And Jan Magnussen takes over the second position. Now on the inside, he's going to try and take away the race lead from the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. Ironically enough, he has to rely on Kurt Busch to provide drafting assistance. Those two have quite the history together, don't they? And down the back straightaway, the 33 of Jan Magnussen is going to take away that top spot from the pole. Dropped all the way down to right around 30th position, and now back out in front of the field here at Talladega. Here comes the 3 car of Austin Dillon, though, trying to make the move stick on the bottom. And coming through the tri-oval, Austin Dillon gets a great push from the 18 car of Kyle Busch. And Austin Dillon in the black number 3 at Talladega Superspeedway takes the race lead once again. Joe Gibbs Racing teammates working together. Down on the bottom, we have the 18 of Kyle Busch, 20 of Brandon Jones, and Busch gets a great amount of momentum and shoots by to take away that race lead down the back straightaway. However, his pusher, the 20 of Brandon Jones, separated from him. 3 car of Austin Dillon went to side draft the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Dillon getting a great push from the 33 of Magnuson, and Austin Dillon is back out front. Coming into turn number 3 as the inside line loses a lot of its organization. Now a 3-car breakaway once again. Dillon, Magnuson, and Harvick. And watch these 3 get side by side off of turn 4. Magnuson almost crowds the 4-car of Harvick all the way down to the apron. Magnuson makes the move stick. Harvick drops back in line behind the 33 car. And Magnuson will lead at the start-finish line, although Harvick trying to make the move quickly down to turn number 1 as he can pull off that slingshot move. With now 2 laps to go in stage number 2, Kevin Harvick is back out front. In the final few laps of the second stage, Bubba Wallace getting a push from the 1 of Kurt Busch, trying to take over second from Magnuson. Now Busch drops down to the bottom. Outside line has the most momentum. Here comes Austin Dillon, and Jan Magnuson up on the top side. 23 not quite helping out the 4 of Kevin Harvick. 4-wide move getting made contact between the 1 of Kurt Busch and the 38 of Anthony Alfredo. 2 cars on the inside versus 3 up on the outside. Harvick still holds the lead for the moment, as he's going to see the white flag in stage number 2 at the start-finish line. Harvick holds that top spot. Bubba Wallace going to try and take over the second position. Couldn't quite do it at the start-finish line, but Harvick is in fact your race leader. Bubba Wallace shoots by to take over that second position. They're kind of tandeming out in front of the field. Wallace makes the move on the bottom, going for the stage victory and the advancement into the postseason shootout at Texas World Speedway. Here comes a fellow Toyota to work with the 23 car. That's Brandon Jones down the back straightaway, hanging out the 4-car to drive. Through turns 3 and 4. Still got quite a ways to go, as here comes Brandon Jones down to the bottom, hanging the 23 car out. Jones makes the slingshot work. Brandon Jones is now your race leader through the tri-oval, gets the push from the 4-car of Kevin Harvick. They're going to be side by side to the start-finish line. And at the line, it is Brandon Jones to win stage number 2. A close race to the stripe between Wallace and Jones. Brandon Jones is your stage number 2 winner. He won a stage at the Homestead-Miami Speedway as well. Won the first stage there, second stage at Talladega. Brandon Jones wins it above Bubba Wallace. Then Kevin Harvick, Jan Magnuson in 4th, and Anthony Alfredo rounding out your top 5. Very intense end to stage number 2, and am I the only one who is impressed by the fact that they have not wrecked yet? We know it's coming at this point, but they have not gotten it out of their system at this point. Oh, and by the way, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott still sets all the way down in 39th position, so he is still waiting in the back of this field, hoping that they wreck up in front. And on lap 41, Brandon Jones once again leads the entire field on the pit road. We got 42 cars being pitted at the same time. Once again, expect some pit road congestion. And you know what? We really didn't have anybody run into each other out of the pits. And the first car off of pit road was the number 20 of Brandon Jones, above the 23 of Bubba Wallace, and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. So your top 3 goes unaltered after that cycle of pit stops. And you know what? If we can actually continue this stretch of green flag racing that we've been seeing over the course of today's race, we might actually have green flag pit stops in this final stage. You can't make it all the way to the end of this final stage on gas, but typically you just get a caution in the final stage. It's Talladega. We normally wreck more often than this, to put it frankly. But right now we've been doing very well with keeping this race mostly caution-free, except for that early race trouble on the 42 of Justin Allgaier, who had that flat left rear tire and came to a halt through 3 and 4. But still, he's still in the race, so we still have 42 cars running after 42 laps have been completed. And so the green flag comes back out on lap number 45 for the final stage of the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series here in the Yellowwood 500. Field already fanning out as we dive off into turn 1. And so we had yet another restart violation here at Talladega. Watch the 77 of Justin Haley down on the inside of the playoff contender of Chase Elliott. And at the start-finish line, just barely edges out the number 9 to the stripe. That is, in fact, a restart violation for the 77 of Justin Haley. He will have to serve that penalty as a stop-and-go under green flag conditions, most likely losing a lap in the same fashion as the number 37 of Eric Jones. And right on the restart, we had a battle for the race lead. The 23 of Bubba Wallace went down to the inside. Then the 4 of Kevin Harvick went 3 wide for the race lead, with the inside line getting the advantage. Bubba Wallace then cuts in front of the 4 of Harvick. 20 of Brandon Jones drops back, and Wallace is now out front here at Talladega. 53 of Chase Briscoe tries to go 3 wide for the second position through turns 3 and 4. Couldn't quite make it work. He backs out as Kyle Busch is going 4 wide on the bottom through turns 3 and 4. Bubba Wallace is currently your race leader. Harvick tried to make a look on the inside but did not have anyone who went with him. So Wallace is your leader on lap 45. Lap 46, Kevin Harvick tries to make a move down on the inside but gets put into the middle by both Harrison Burton and Eric Jones and drops straight through the sucker hole, with the 23 of Bubba Wallace getting pushed out to the race lead once again by the 20 of Brandon Jones up on the high side. Wallace clears the field into the third turn. And at the end of lap number 46, the 37 of Eric Jones actually pushes the 95 of Harrison Burton past the 23 of Bubba Wallace, and Burton is now your race leader in the Yellowwood 500. Eric Jones is 1 lap down, but is in fact racing with the leaders to get that lap back. Hoping that just like Matt Crafton in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, he can catch a lucky caution and get back on the lead lap, as now Jones goes to the inside trying to make that lap up. And Joe Gibbs Racing teammates form up down on the bottom, with Kyle Busch and Brandon Jones forming up that inside line. And so the Toyota has kind of started to work the outside line of the racetrack, with Harrison Burton, Bubba Wallace, and Brandon Jones all the way up there, and just the lap car of Eric Jones leading the very inside. The Toyota started to hook up, and Harrison Burton actually enjoyed quite a bit of time out in front of this pack because of those Toyotas working together. And just watch this near disaster on lap 49. There's a 4 wide move going on the exit of the tri-oval. You got the 40, makes contact with the 12 of Ryan Blaney. That's Half and Blaney making contact right there. I'm not even sure if Blaney and Half knew that they were being put 4 wide by Brennan Poole, but fortunately they cleared the number 30 coming down to turn number 1. These two make contact, go all the way beneath the yellow line. Both cars beneath the yellow line right there. The 12 remerges with the pack right up on the banking, and so does the 40 of Quinn Half. Very fortunate for the number 30 car of Brennan Poole to give these two room to make this maneuver work, but nobody got involved in an accident with that very aggressive merge back onto the racetrack. And here's a look at it in real time. 12 and 40 cars make contact, get pushed right onto the apron, and fortunately do not cause a large stack up right in front of the pack. On lap number 49, the Toyotas started to break up, and the 37 and 4 of Eric Jones and Harvick hooked up down on the inside, with Kevin Harvick actually taking away the top spot with help from lap traffic. Harvick back out in front, the 53 of Chase Briscoe trying to take over that second position. Playoff drivers starting to make their march towards the front of this field. They know it's getting close to go time. We're in the final stage of the round of 8. It's time to make something happen, especially if you're the number 4 team of Harvick, who practically has to win this race to make the championship 4. And by the way, how about the number 7 of Corey LaJoie, currently in the top 5, running for Spire Motorsports. And on lap number 50, the inside and outside lines battled relatively evenly, being led by Harrison Burton and Kevin Harvick when it comes to being on the lead lap, with Harvick just barely getting the advantage as he now edges his way in front of the 37 of Eric Jones. Lap number 51 down the back straightaway. The spring race winner here at Talladega, Brennan Poole, makes a 4 wide move on Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr., and Austin Cindric. Makes the move stick, but he does back out coming into turn number 3. A very heads-up move right there to avoid an accident. By the way, slow car up in front of the field. That is the 77 of Justin Haley, who had to serve that stop-and-go penalty. Now the lead pack runs up on him. Outside line gets stalled out, as well as the inside, so that means the 4 of Kevin Harvick is going to rocket out to a very large race lead. But in turn, that's actually going to end up hurting him because the field will swarm him. But the 53 of Chase Briscoe now takes up second. 20 of Brandon Jones in the third. The top 3 drivers right now are playoff contenders. Very different from what we saw at the beginning of this race, with the majority of the playoff drivers stuck in the back. Lap 52, the inside line got stalled out by the 53 of Chase Briscoe backing off. And out towards the front of the field, the lap cars of Justin Haley and Eric Jones are battling with the race leaders, and that allows Harrison Burton down on the inside to pass the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. Burton is back out in front of the field here at Talladega. On lap number 53, we have some 4-wide racing down the back straightaway. Magnussen down on the inside. Newman and Alfredo make some door-to-door contact, as fortunately the 53 of Briscoe backs out of that situation to avoid an accident. Everybody's still keeping it pretty clean here at Talladega. 53 laps in, not a single car is DNF'd. And so Harrison Burton enjoyed yet another stint of dominating the field here at Talladega. However, on lap number 55, inside line got very organized. 33 of Magnussen gets pushed out in front of this field, that being your pole sitter. Magnussen gets pushed out in front of the field by the number 8 of Tyler Reddick. 33 car back up into the top spot. 8 trying to take away second, and the 37 of Eric Jones still battling to get back onto the lead lap. And coming to the start-finish line to begin lap number 56, the 8 of Reddick makes the move down on the inside, and Tyler Reddick takes away the top spot entering turn number 1. Inside line loses a lot of organization as the lap car, the 37 of Eric Jones, backs out. Then there goes the 95 of Harrison Burton jumping down to the bottom to assist the 8 of Reddick. But at the end of lap number 56, Harvick gets the push from the lap car of Eric Jones and rockets his way past the 8 car up on the outside. Kevin Harvick is back out in front here at Talladega, and look at the number 9 car of Chase Elliott. He finally decided to step on it, drove his way up through this field. Recall just a little while ago he was in second to last. Now Chase Elliott runs in 4th position. He knew it was go time. It's time to try and race your way into this championship 4. And we nearly had a crash once again on lap number 57. Watch this. The 16 of A.J. Allmendinger makes a 4-wide move down the back straightaway on the 18 of Kyle Busch, the 41 of Cole Custer, and the 1 of Kurt Busch. 18 of Kyle Busch moves up the racetrack just a little bit, makes a little bit of contact with the 41 of Cole Custer. Custer goes up into the 1 of Kurt Busch, and up into the outside wall goes Kurt. Quite a bit of right side damage on the number 1 car. Kurt finds his way down to the inside line of the racetrack and comes down pit road for damage repair. An unfortunate break for this number 1 team after coming off the high of winning last week at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Gets put up into the wall here, and now with right side damage on that number 1 machine, they're likely going to drop 1 lap down. However, if this race can continue to go green, they might be in a good position, because if they come down pit road now, they will not have to pit again in this race. It's a little bit early, but they might be able to make it work. And at the start-finish line, the number 8 car of Tyler Reddick actually got pushed out in front of the field by the number 95 of Harrison Burton. Reddick leads the lap, as now we have almost tandem racing going on, with the 8 getting pushed by the 95 and the 9 car pushing the 4. And coming off of turn number 4 on lap 58, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott pushes the number 4 car out in front. Kevin Harvick is once again your race leader at Talladega, but then Chase Elliott makes the move down to the inside, going for that top spot, side drafts the 4 car back. Harvick gets put into the middle. The 8 of Reddick shoots by up on the outside. Tyler Reddick assumes the race lead once again, now battling with the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Then through turns 3 and 4, the 3 car of Austin Dillon pushes the number 9 of Chase Elliott to the top spot. Elliott, who spent the majority of the earlier portion of this race running from 35th to 40th, is now your race leader coming into lap number 60. But here comes Austin Dillon down on the bottom, working with 2 Spire Motorsports cars, 1 on the lead lap, that being Corey LaJoie, one lap down, that's Justin Haley. And Dillon is your race leader at the start-finish line. Austin Dillon gets pushed out to the top spot. Here comes Justin Haley down on the bottom, trying to get his lap back. And now it looks like Corey LaJoie is going to follow suit with his teammate on the bottom. LaJoie is going to take away the top spot for the moment, putting the 77 car through the middle. 3 wide racing up in front, lap car in the middle, and Austin Dillon is going to likely get the race lead as the inside line has lost some organization. Lap number 60, coming to the start-finish line, the number 3 car of Austin Dillon leads the lap up on the top side of the racetrack thanks to a push from the number 9 of Chase Elliott. The number 7 of Corey LaJoie trying to take away the second position down on the inside. Hamlin tried to go 4 wide down to turn number 1. That move did not quite work. Hamlin rightfully backs out, but the 3 car of Austin Dillon currently leads the pack here at Talladega. And by lap 61, we have had 2 cars actually just naturally lose the draft. This race has actually had such a long green flag run. Other cars can physically lose the draft. We've had the 40 of Quinn Houff lose the draft, as well as the 10 of Eric Almirola. And on lap number 62, Corey LaJoie works with his lap-down teammate of Justin Haley, and LaJoie takes away the top spot through turns 1 and 2 off the number 3 of Austin Dillon. The 30 of Brendan Poole, the spring race winner, takes over the second position with the number 8 of Reddick challenging him down on the inside. And coming into turn number 3, the 8 car of Reddick backs out for the moment. The 30 of Brendan Poole just barely edges in front of the number 7 of Corey LaJoie. LaJoie gets abandoned by his drafting partner, the number 3 of Austin Dillon, as well as the number 9 of Chase Elliott. And Brendan Poole, the Geico 500 winner from back in the spring, is back out front here at the Talladega Superspeedway on lap number 62. On lap 63, thanks to a push from the number 9 of Chase Elliott, the 3 of Austin Dillon makes his way back to the race lead, working his way around the 30 of Brendan Poole. On lap number 64, the 77 of Justin Haley makes the move down on the inside of the 3 of Austin Dillon to get back onto the lead lap. And the 30 of Brendan Poole follows him down on the inside line, and Poole takes away the race lead once again with that move. Corey LaJoie is going to take over second position as now the 30 of Brendan Poole dives down to the bottom to put the 77 car back down a lap. And coming into turn number 3, we got a 3-wide battle for the top spot as the 7 of Corey LaJoie tries to make it work down on the inside. Does not have very much drafting help, but then again, neither does the 30 of Brendan Poole. Now Poole gets some help from the 77 of Justin Haley. They're going to be able to work the top side through the tri-oval, and the 30 of Brendan Poole gets the advantage. Poole is going to lead the race at the start-finish line with lap traffic now swarming the number 7 of Corey LaJoie. And on lap 65, we have a 4-wide move being made by the lap car of Eric Jones on the inside of Ryan Preece, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Dillon, which causes a bit of a checkup of the entire field, which allows the 77 and 30 cars to break away by about half a second. And now on lap 66, the 00 of Daniel Suarez has finally made his presence known in the top 10. Here in the Yellowwood 500, similar situation for the 31 of Ty Dillon, who has been relatively absent towards the front of the field, and Brendan Poole has enjoyed quite a few laps at the front of this pack because he's been battling side by side with the lap car, the 77 of Justin Haley. And by lap number 67, almost through tandem racing, the 30, 99, and 4 cars have put a pretty large separation above the rest of the field at the moment. They're likely going to be caught up rather quickly. But as you can tell up on the outside line, the 99 of Preece is working very well with the 30 of Brendan Poole, but on the inside, Harvick is working with the lap car of Justin Haley. It's working out very well, keeping Harvick up in the front of this lead battle. Lap number 68, the 30 and 99 cars separate. Harvick continues to work with the 77, and here comes the 8 of Reddick trying to make it 3 wide for the top spot through turns 3 and 4. Harvick is going to get the advantage up on the outside line as Reddick does not have very much drafting help. Now Reddick's going to get a little bit of help from Harvick's teammate of Clint Boyer down on the very inside of the racetrack. On lap 68, the number 43 of Myatt Snider opens up the pit window by being the first car to hit the pits under a scheduled green flag pit stop. Obviously, the 1 car of Kurt Busch hit the pits already due to damage that he suffered in that incident where he got put up into the outside wall by the 41 of Cole Custer. And coming into lap number 69, the 14 of Clint Boyer pushes the 8 of Tyler Reddick to the top spot, and now side by side once again with the 77 of Justin Haley, who's putting up a valiant effort to try and stay on the lead lap at the moment. But now the 8 car of Reddick is your race leader once again, and nearly a tandem-style situation with the 14 of Clint Boyer. And on lap number 70, the lead pack runs up on the lap car of Kurt Busch. On the inside line, the 8 and 14 cars squeak by him rather cleanly. And they also have to thread the needle on the number 43 of Myatt Snider, who almost causes an accident as he merges back with the field on the very inside line, blocking the 00 and 23 cars. And the 14 and 8 cars have shot by with a nearly half a second lead on the rest of the field. 14 of Boyer easily makes the slingshot move work for the top spot on the front straightaway. The 30 of Brendan Poole takes over third. And here's just another look at that great move that these leaders had to make through lap traffic. There's the slow number 1 car of Kurt Busch. He's just slow because he doesn't have any drafting partners. And then there's the 43 car of Myatt Snider, who is just coming off of pit road right now, barely up to full song at all, probably going about 150 or so miles an hour. They have to essentially thread the needle between the slow number 1 and slow 43 cars, weaving back and forth down the back straightaway, and the 8 and 14 cars and just barely the number 30 are the only ones who made it through there without lifting. And on lap number 71, the 30 of Brendan Poole gets the push by the 14 of Clint Boyer, and that moves the 30 of Poole, the spring race winner here at Talladega, back into the top spot as the pack has started to reform. And on lap number 72, the number 99 car of Ryan Preece gets a great run through turns 3 and 4 on the 30 of Brendan Poole and makes the move stick. Coming off of turn number 4, he gets the push from the number 23 of Bubba Wallace, and Ryan Preece is back out front here in the Yellowwood 500, but then Wallace makes the move down to the inside. But Ryan Preece actually beats him back to the start-finish line as the 23 car does not get that much drafting help coming to the stripe. The 99 and 30 cars work together up on the high side, but the 23 of Bubba Wallace shoots by to take away the race lead as the number 99 of Ryan Preece just barely had to crack the throttle down into turn number 1. But down the back straightaway, the lead swaps hands once again. The 99 of Ryan Preece shoots down to the inside, the 23 of Bubba Wallace. He gets some drafting help from the number 30 of Brendan Poole. And Ryan Preece is back out front. And look at that 62 car down on the inside. Noah Gragson, once again, back into the top 5. He had a great car in stage number 1. And he might just have a car capable of winning this race. On lap 74, the 30 car Brendan Poole tries to make the move down on the inside with just 21 laps to go, but the number 6 of Ryan Newman bump drafts the number 9 down the back straightaway. Almost tandeming going on as the 6 sides with the 99. The 23 did side with the number 30, but goes 3 wide into turn number 3 for second position. Backs off down on the inside, and Preece still holds that top spot. And on the front straightaway, the field finally catches up to the number 10 car of Eric Almirola, who previously lost the draft, and they put Almirola down 1 lap. And on lap number 75, the 6 of Ryan Newman makes the move down on the inside of the 99 of Ryan Preece, and Newman takes away that top spot for Roush Fenway Racing as Tyler Reddick goes 3 wide down on the inside, trying to take over that second position. He sides with the number 6 of Newman, now trying to make the look barely down on the inside, but Newman has the field cleared into turn number 3. And on lap number 75, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott decides to hit pit road for his service to try and short pit this field. And through the tri-oval, the number 20 of Brandon Jones has pushed the number 8 of Tyler Reddick out in front of this field once again. We are inside 20 laps to go in the Yellowwood 500 from the Talladega Superspeedway. Reddick came oh so close to winning last week at Homestead. Now trying to win once again here at Talladega. But here comes the 20 of Brandon Jones, the stage number 2 winner. Taking that top spot down the back straightaway. There's the lap car of Quinn Half. Going to bottle up the field just a little bit. But Jones will shoot by down on the inside and still hold that top spot. And so you could just tell that this race was being extremely calm. Too calm, almost reminiscent of the spring race at Talladega back in 2001, where we went completely caution-free. But watch this, lap number 76. Green flag pit stops have commenced. The number 9 car of Chase Elliott short pitting is dragging a bunch of the field onto pit road this time by. Pretty much every single car that can easily make it to the pits down on the inside line is committed to it, such as Brandon Jones, Eric Almirola, who's already a lap down, Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe, Martin Truex Jr., Corey LaJoie, and many others. But watch this. Kevin Harvick makes a late decision to come down pit road with these folks. The 62 of Noah Gragson is not pitting and does not get the memo. Harvick cuts down in front of the nose of the 62 of Gragson and gets spun down into his lap down teammate of Eric Almirola. The playoff contender Harvick gets involved in his 3rd problem in 3 weeks and 2nd consecutive crash. But now, sliding up in front of the pack, we have the 62 of Noah Gragson getting hit by the 43 of Myatt Snider. The 1 of Kurt Busch plows right into the 33 of Magnuson. 14 of Clint Boyer gets damage out of this. 99 farther back of Preece gets damage from the number 10 of Eric Almirola. You got cars sliding through the grass right there. The 50 of Kaz Gralla trying to thread the needle, as well as the 87 of Peters. They do a good job at it. But the 38 of Anthony Alfredo has a lot of front-end damage now. The 47 of Stenhouse makes contact with the wall and then down into the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. The caution flag waves on lap 76 as we have numerous cars get involved in a crash while trying to come down pit road here at Talladega. Coming to the pits here at Talladega has always been a matter of communication, making sure that every spotter and driver knows when and where you will be committing to the pits. And right here, Harvick just committed way, way too late. The 62 car was on his inside, and he causes a large stack up right there involving even one of his teammates spinning into the pits. A very risky situation right there, especially coming down the pit road with active pit crews in their pit stalls. But also an unfortunate story for the 62 team of Gragson. They had a really great race going, but now rear-end damage might take them out of contention for the victory. And ironically enough, the only car knocked out of the race following this accident was the number 33 of Jan Magnussen, who got rammed in this stack-up right there, checking up for the 62 of Noah Gragson. But the reason I say this is ironic is because Magnussen is your pole sitter. So the man who started on the pole spot will take home a 42nd place finish because he is our first DNF of this race. And so, interestingly enough, because that whole incident happened during the middle of a cycle of the pit stops, the 30 of Brendan Poole is now your race leader above the 8 of Tyler Reddick and the 23 of Bubba Wallace. However, all these guys will still have to come to pit road. But the number 9 of Chase Elliott actually gets saved by this caution because you remember he pitted one lap prior. Now he looks like a genius, by the way, because he didn't get involved in that big crash. And got all of his service and short pitted all these guys who just now pitted and did not lose a lap in the process. And on lap number 77, the majority of the cars that have yet to come down pit road do opt to come to the pits this time by, including Poole, Reddick, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Newman, and several others. But the very confusing thing is that we have quite a few drivers actually opting to stay out, I guess hoping that we get more caution flags so that they can make it to the end on gas. But some of the drivers that stay out include the playoff contender of Daniel Suarez, who really shouldn't be messing around with a fuel situation, the number 12 of Ryan Blaney, and the number 3 of Austin Dillon, just to name a few, who are staying out on the racetrack. They might be trying to pit the next time around to maybe have a slightly better fuel situation. We'll see how this situation evolves over this caution flag period. And so on lap number 78, we have more cars hitting the pits, including Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Kyle and Kurt Busch. But we still have a few cars staying out on the racetrack rather confusingly. We have Daniel Suarez staying out as the leader, Ryan Blaney staying out in second, Kaz Grala in third, have Myatt Snyder and Noah Gragson, who have still yet to come down pit road. I'm not really sure what strategy they're going for here. And so now on lap number 79, the 62 car of Noah Gragson as well hits pit road, but the 00, 12, and 50 cars are still on the lead lap, and they are still staying out on the racetrack. Your top 3 among those who have already pitted has Brandon Jones getting off pit road in front of the 53 of Chase Briscoe and the 99 of Ryan Preece. But your top 3 drivers right now are going to try and stay out on the racetrack, and the lights are off on the pace car, so they are pretty much committed to this fuel strategy. I guess they are praying for more caution flag laps, because I do not think that they are going to be able to make it to the end on gas. And so the green flag will wave once again on lap number 81 as you see through the tri-oval. The number 14 of Clinton Boyer has blown the engine. That will bring out the caution flag as soon as we go green. And on the restart, watch the number 50 of Kaz Grala. I thought at first that he might have missed a shift. We see he pulls down to the inside extremely slow. He was already running out of gas in this number 50 car. It was already sputtering. He was trying to shake fuel around to see if he could get into the pickup, but the 50 car was already running out of gas. They absolutely could not have made it on gas, as they are more than 10 laps short. But watch this. The 50 of Kaz Grala is being split by everyone because he's completely out of fuel at this point. But you see the 3 car ducks down to the inside. The 47 of Stenhouse just has no time to avoid it, and Stenhouse plows right in to the back bumper of the 50 of Kaz Grala. A lot of front-end damage on that number 47 machine, and this impact actually knocks the 47 Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out of the race. Massive radiator damage on the 47. And so guess what? Because the 50 car ran out, the 12 and 00 were not too far behind. Down the back straightaway, the 12 car of Ryan Blaney ends up running out of gas as well, sputtering right there and essentially backing up the entire pack as he's trying to shake that race car around to get fuel in the pickup. Tries to duck down pit road and actually does make it to the pits. Fortunately on this lap, even knowing that the pit road was closed, he does make it to the pits because he was completely out of gas. He really had no choice at that point. And most importantly, the 00 of Daniel Suarez completely ran out of gas through turns 3 and 4 and did not come down pit road. And so there's really no way that he's going to make it back to the pits with a chance to refuel that car without getting pushed. So he's at least going to lose a lap, if not more. And remember, he's racing for a championship for advancement. This is a really tough break for this 00 team, but I genuinely have no idea what they were going after with this pit strategy, because being about 13 laps short on gas is not something you can just make a mistake on. And here's at least a good break for one of the drivers that ran out of gas. The number 12 car of Ryan Blaney was capable of coasting into his pit stall and getting refueled and back onto the racetrack. In fact, didn't even lose a single lap because of the caution flag for Boyer's exploding engine. Kaz Gralla as well made it to pit road, but the 00 of Daniel Suarez did not. He is stuck on the back straightaway right now. And so because of the absolute madness of that lap, the 99 of Ryan Preece is now your race leader. Watch this move coming back to the start-finish line. You have the 96 of Drew Herring siding with the outside line. It was a drag race back to the start-finish line and the caution flag. Preece is your race leader, but the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., who appears to be in position to win yet another race in the round of 8. He's had an incredible round so far, a win at Martinsville, near win at Homestead, maybe a win here at Talladega, his first career Cup Series Super Speedway win. Might be just a few laps ahead. 96 of Herring was in 3rd position, 11 of Hamlin 4th, and Bubba Wallace in 5th position. And so the number 14 of Clint Boyer is out of this race due to that engine failure, but let me tell you something. The 00 of Daniel Suarez has dropped out of this race. Most likely running out of gas and running that engine without any fuel in it, burn out a few cylinders. If I had to take a wild guess, they're likely going to try and dissect that engine on the 00 car, but they could not get the thing to start running once again. So the 00 team is out of this race. They're going to finish down in 39th position. That's going to be a tough blow for them to overcome. Now, they got the most playoff points of any team, so really at this point they are at the mercy of where everybody else finishes. They can still make it on points, but they have to hope that the rest of the contenders that they're racing for, because Truex is a non-factor at this point, he already won his way in, but the 00 team has to hope that the other 6 contenders that they're racing against have trouble from this point forward, because there's really no other chance that they're going to make the championship for. They got a large amount of playoff points, but that's all they can work with because it's out of their hands at this point. And you know what? Check this out. The number 31 of Ty Dillon currently sets in 6th position. Really good run going on for Germain Racing and the 31 team. And we also have the number 09 out of Phoenix Racing and 2311 running that car in a partnership. Stephen Parsons runs in the 10th position. We haven't talked about him really at all today, but he has now made his presence known in the final 10 laps of this Yellowwood 500. He finished in 2nd position in the Daytona 500. Could be a strong contender in the final few laps of this one. So we're going to go green with 9 laps to go. And also the Daytona 500 champion, Josh Bilicki, currently sets in 12th position. Good runs going on so far for the Super Speedway ringers. And even knowing that Bilicki is not technically a Super Speedway ringer, he has been running the full season. He's a driver a lot like, say, a Jan Magnussen, who runs every single race, but you'd still probably call him a road course ringer, much like what Robbie Gordon used to be. And the pace car is off. Ryan Preece in the number 99 for Trackhouse Racing leads the field on the Trioval and into the Geico restart zone. There is the green flag in the Yellowwood 500 with just 9 laps to go. What could be the final restart of the round of 8. And watch this. The race leader, Ryan Preece, had a major suspension component failure coming off of turn number 2. Leading the field right now, has that suspension component failure coming off of the second corner and cuts right down to the left to try and get the car onto the apron, or maybe the car did it by itself. But the number 96 of Drew Herring just barely squeezes by. 99 car starts to slow down. The 11 of Hamlin almost piles into him. 7 and 10 cars jump down to the inside line. Watch the 30 of Brendan Poole right here get hit in the back bumper by the 71 of Josh Blicky and just barely missed the number 99 of Ryan Preece right there. Very dicey moment, but fortunately Preece dives onto the apron and gets out of harm's way, but a very tough break for this number 99 team leading the race. Suspension component failure knocks them completely out of contention and actually out of the race. And as I mentioned, the number 30 car of Brendan Poole got knocked off course by the number 71 of Josh Blicky. Well, while he was remerging with the field, watch the 16 of A.J. Allmendinger. A.J. makes contact with the 12 of Ryan Blaney, and that contact into Blaney gets the 16 car sideways. A.J. Allmendinger clips the number 30 of Brendan Poole, sends him around down the back straightaway, and gets impacted by the 37 of Eric Jones, does a wild spin down the back straightaway. Minimal damage, fortunately, and the caution flag already waves. Cautions are absolutely breeding cautions here in the playoff race of the Talladega Superspeedway as the field was avoiding the number 99 of Ryan Preece. The 96 car of Drew Herring took the lead for the moment, but then the 23 of Bubba Wallace shot by down on the inside, taking away the top spot. And through turns 3 and 4, the 7 of Corey LaJoie took up the second position, racing back to the caution flag. At the moment, it looks like we could very well have an upset winner in the Yellowwood 500. At least it looks like the odds of it are very great. You can see racing back to the caution flag, the 19 of Truex made the slingshot down on the inside of Corey LaJoie, but Bubba Wallace will lead the field back to the caution flag in the first position. 31 of Ty Dillon made a good rally on that restart as well, now up to the fourth position. On lap number 87, the damaged number 12 car of Ryan Blaney hits pit road. And once again, the pace car hits pit road. Now Bubba Wallace leads the field through the tri-oval, onto the front straightaway in front of this sold-out crowd, into the Geico restart zone, and there is the green flag on lap number 91. Just 4 laps to go in the Yellowwood 500 here at the Talladega Superspeedway. Martin Truex Jr. gets an exceptional restart, making his move down to the inside of the number 7 of Corey LaJoie, taking over the second spot, and actually gets the run on the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Makes the move coming off the second corner. Martin Truex Jr. with some help coming from the 31 of Ty Dillon makes the move work down the back straightaway on the inside line. 19 car Martin Truex Jr. is the race leader, trying to score the victory in 2 out of 3 races in the round of 8. As Reddick tried to make it 4 wide down on the inside, but backed out at the last second. 19 of Truex has cleared the field, as well as the 31 of Dillon, and now trying to make it the 96 of Herring as well. Here comes Ty Dillon down to the inside. He won a stage here back in the spring race, the Geico 500. Ty Dillon will lead at the start-finish line as here comes the 53 of Briscoe. 3 wide down on the inside, but he backs out on corner entry. 19 of Martin Truex Jr. shoots by up on the outside. He takes over the second position once again. Less than 3 laps to go. On lap number 92, down the back straightaway, we got the Toyotas working together as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. pops out down to the inside and gets the push from the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Coming onto the front straightaway, Martin Truex Jr. is back out in front of this field, trying to score the victory for the first time in his NASCAR Cup Series career on a super speedway. But Bubba Wallace is going for his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory. He pops out at the start-finish line. Truex will lead the lap, but Wallace takes away the top spot into turn number 1 with the push coming from the 53 of Chase Briscoe, who's trying to win his way into the championship 4. Briscoe down to the bottom. As now, we're back to almost tandem-style racing. A 4-car breakaway. Herring and Briscoe on the bottom. And now Herring jumps up to the outside. Truex down to the bottom. Lots of movement going on as Wallace still holds the race lead at the moment. The Toyotas work together up on the outside. Wallace, Herring, and Truex work their way past the 53 of Chase Briscoe on the bottom. Bubba Wallace, the Alabama native, leads at the Talladega Superspeedway with the white flag in the air. Through the tri-oval, here comes the 53 of Briscoe with a big run. He's getting the push from a fellow Chevrolet, that being the 8 of Tyler Reddick. The white flag is out. The final lap of the round of 8. This lap will set the championship 4 in the NASCAR Cup Series among those who will contend for the Bill France Cup next week in Atlanta. The 53 of Briscoe gets pushed into the race lead by the 8 of Tyler Reddick. 09 of Stephen Parsons making moves down the back straightaway, attempting to make a 3-wide move for second. Here they come into turn number 3. Wallace and Briscoe side by side. Which lane will get more momentum coming out of the fourth corner. The 8 of Reddick pushes the 53 in front of the 23 car of Bubba Wallace. The inside line is clear. Will Reddick try to make a move through the tri-oval? Here comes Parsons to the bottom, going for second, and Chase Briscoe is going to score the victory, winning his way into the Championship 4 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Briscoe leads one lap to score the victory in the Yellowwood 500 at the Talladega Superspeedway, and Chase Briscoe has won his way into the Championship 4 with the victory. It's his 4th win on the season and 5th win of his career. His 2nd clutch victory in the playoffs so far. Came into the Roval in a must-win situation, had to win the Roval, barreled his way through the field in the final 5 laps and won his way into this round. And now at Talladega leads just one lap, besting the Alabama native of Bubba Wallace on the final lap of the race. Thanks to the number 8 of Tyler Reddick pushing him to the front. And now Chase Briscoe will be contending for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And how about that finish? After 94 laps of competition, the driver who won the race only led one of them. Absolutely remarkable here at Talladega in the final race of the round of 8, the penultimate race of the NASCAR Cup Series season. And so here's the rundown of the drivers who have made the Championship 4 and their finishing positions here at the Talladega Superspeedway. Martin Truex Jr. obviously made the Championship 4 with his victory at the Martinsville Speedway, and he brings the number 19 car home in 6th position here at Talladega, even knowing that quite frankly, his finishing position was irrelevant. He was already locked in to the Championship 4, so he really, honestly, didn't even have to qualify for this race. It wouldn't have really been a concern. Then we have Chase Briscoe with his final lap pass on the number 23 of Bubba Wallace, thanks to the number 8 car of Tyler Reddick. He has scored the victory here in the Yellowwood 500 and advanced his way into the Championship 4 with that move. And then we have the number 9 car of Chase Elliott, who finishes all the way down in 21st position. He will be contending for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship at his home racetrack at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He will advance to the Championship 4 by a mere 6 points because of his 21st place finish. And finally, the last car that makes the Championship 4 is the 00 of Daniel Suarez by 0 points. Daniel Suarez has made the Championship 4 on a tiebreaker because of the amount of playoff points that he scored and his 39th place finish. Because of where his other competitors placed, it was enough to tie him with Brandon Jones, and Suarez got the tiebreaker. So Suarez will be racing for a championship at Atlanta by virtue of 0 points. Have a look at the gap between the 34 of Michael McDowell and the number 20 of Brandon Jones. That is the separation between Brandon Jones making the Championship 4 and being eliminated from the round of 8. Because Brandon Jones lost the tiebreaker because he obviously tied the 00 of Daniel Suarez because Jones finished in 9th position, half a car length behind the number 34 of Michael McDowell. If he would have been able to pass the 34 car, just barely edge himself ahead of that number 34 car and score an 8th place finish, that would have given Brandon Jones plus 1 points above Daniel Suarez. Suarez would have been eliminated. Brandon Jones would have made the Championship 4. That separation between the 34 of McDowell and the 20 of Brandon Jones is the difference between a chance at the championship and heading to Atlanta knowing that you have no chance at the championship. He's just going to head to Atlanta Motor Speedway battling for 5th position in overall point standings. Then we have the story of the number 18 car of Kyle Busch. The defending champion of the NASCAR Cup Series will not be contending for the championship at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. He misses the Championship 4 by 7 points with a 19th place finish here at Talladega. And then we have the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, who will miss out on a chance at the championship by 22 points below the cutoff line with his 18th place finish here at the Talladega Superspeedway, and I'm sure it does not please him very much that Chase Briscoe scored the victory here at Talladega, making the championship four. It was very much a skin-of-his-teeth victory, making his way into the championship four. But recall that Briscoe still sets 2-0 against Denny Hamlin, because Briscoe dumped him outright at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, and then made contact with him at Martinsville, turning Hamlin into the inside wall, and Hamlin still has not had a chance to get back at the 53 car. I'm sure that's something that Hamlin's not going to let him forget about coming into the championship race next weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And finally, we have the story of the number 4 team of Kevin Harvick, who quite frankly suffered a final round collapse. If you look at their race at Martinsville, they had that flat tire, an overall horrible run there. Homestead-Miami Speedway, they got turned by the eventual race winner of Kurt Busch under caution. Then later on in the race, Kevin Harvick got himself involved in that crash with Chris Buescher, which has essentially eliminated his chance of winning. And then he DNF'd in another crash coming off of turn number 4 when he slammed into the 96 of Drew Herring. So Harvick actually wrecked 3 times at Homestead with one car. And then finally we come here to Talladega. Harvick pretty much in a must-win situation. Comes into this race minus 31 points from the cutoff line and had a fairly good race going. But everything unraveled when he tried to come down pit road and got involved in that accident. Just poor communication between the number 4 team, especially in the number 62. Because Kevin Harvick, you could tell he committed to pit road way, way too late. It caught, obviously, Noah off guard because he had no idea the 4 car was pitting all the way up from the outside, and it started a large crash, even knocked out Magnussen, the pole sitter, from the race. So Harvick actually rather impressively rebounded to an 11th place finish, but this is the first time in quite a few years that Kevin Harvick will not have a chance at the championship in the final race of the season. Kevin Harvick misses out on the championship 4 by 30 points, which means after this entire race he only made up just 1 point on the cutoff line. And so Chase Briscoe has won his way into the championship 4 here in the Yellowwood 500, scoring the victory with just 1 lap led and a 42nd place starting position. The man started dead last, ran a lot of the race towards the back of the field, at least the first stage of the race, just trying to miss carnage, which surprisingly never really happened until we got into the final stage. Once the pit stop fiasco started, then mechanical failures started to kick in. But Briscoe started shotgun on the field, wins the race, and only leads just 1 lap. But it's all he needed to make the championship 4 and have a chance at that Bill France Cup at the Atlanta Motor Speedway in the season finale 500. Also, how about this? Stephen Parsons finished in 2nd position in the number 09 car for Phoenix Racing and for 2311. This man's going to win a Cup Series race at some point. He finished 2nd in the Daytona 500, 2nd here at Talladega. He's going to win one of these plate races very soon. And he also won a qualifying race at Daytona back in February, so I guess you could already say that he's won a Cup Series race, but he's going to win a points race fairly soon at this rate, getting 2nd place finishes 2 out of every 4 plate races. Then we have Tyler Reddick, who pushed Chase Briscoe to victory and another bow tie into championship 4 contention. Brings that number 8 car home in the 3rd position. Drew Herring, after a 40th place starting position, brings it home in 4th position. Bubba Wallace, who had a very, very good chance at winning this race, dropped all the way down to 5th after kind of getting freight trained on the final lap there. Martin Truex Jr. dropped down to 6th, which, by the way, his finishes in this whole round have been 1st, 4th, and 6th. Incredible performance in the round of 8 for Martin Truex Jr. Ty Dillon qualified 8th, finished in 7th. Very consistent day, I guess you could say, for Ty Dillon, but a good one nonetheless for Germain Racing. Then we have Michael McDowell, who won this race last season and at Daytona back in August. He brings it home in 8th position, continuing his good streak of races on the super speedways. Then we have Brandon Jones bring it home in 9th position, 1 position short of an advancement to the championship 4. Couldn't have really even been much closer to a chance at the championship. Tied the 0-0 of Daniel Suarez, but just didn't win the tiebreaker and came up just a little bit short. About as short as you could come up without being in the championship 4 for Brandon Jones. Heartbreaker right there for the number 20 team. And then rounding out the top 10 is a very good performance by the number 7 team of Corey LaJoie. They're getting some stuff prepared for possibly a full-time season next year with that number 7 team, and they're definitely starting to get some pretty decent runs going. If you recall, they had some good momentum going early on in the race at Martinsville before kind of the wheel fell off the wagon. But here at Talladega, they put together kind of the whole package, and they scored a top 10 finish and a consistent day overall. And so here are your playoff standings following the Yellowwood 500 here at the Talladega Superspeedway, the final race of the round of 8. And the penultimate race of the NASCAR Cup Series season, both Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Briscoe are locked into the championship 4 via wins. Martin Truex Jr. scored the victory at Martinsville. Chase Briscoe got it here at Talladega. Chase Elliott makes it in by a mere 6 points in the number 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. A very huge pickup off where they ran last season. I believe they got 22nd in overall point standings last year. Only got one victory at Michigan after the playoffs already began. There were even rumors that if Elliott continued that kind of performance into this season, he could be released after this season. But they have stepped it up big time this year. 2 wins at Nashville and the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course, and now a chance at the championship at Chase's home track in Hampton, Georgia. And then Daniel Suarez points his way in on a tiebreaker with a 39th place finish here today in the Yellowwood 500. I mean, that team was at the mercy of the rest of the competition and just barely made it in by no points and a tiebreaker above the number 20 of Brandon Jones, and Jones barely missed making his way into the championship 4 by literally half a car length. Just a few more feet would have literally advanced Brandon Jones into the championship 4 if he could have bested the 34 of McDowell at the start-finish line. Then we have defending champion Kyle Busch, will not go 2 in a row this year. In the number 18 team for Joe Gibbs Racing, misses out on a championship 4 advancement by 7 points. Then we have the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, who I'm certain is still holding a grudge against the new championship contender of Chase Briscoe. Hamlin misses out on a championship 4 advancement by 22 points, and Kevin Harvick ultimately misses out on a championship 4 spot by 30 points beneath the cutoff line. The first time, as I've mentioned in numerous years, that Kevin Harvick will not have a chance at the championship in the final race of the season. And so here's your reseeded point standings. As you can tell, it gets pretty simple from this point forward. Just one race left. There's your top 4 contenders. May the best man win. It literally just becomes whoever of those top 4 finishes ahead of the other in the championship race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Whichever one finishes on top will be our champion of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. It comes down to a battle between Suarez, Briscoe, Truex Jr., and Chase Elliott. 3 youngsters and 1 veteran of our sport. And it's important to mention that Martin Truex Jr. is the only driver who could become a repeat champion. Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, and Daniel Suarez have never scored a NASCAR Cup Series championship. So we have a 75% chance of getting a new champion. And now let's take a look at the Kevin Harvick rule, which I guess this season Kevin can actually win. The battle for the best of the rest. 5th position in points, which last season was won by Alex Bowman, who was then driving the 88 car. Same team, just a different number this year with 48 on the side of the car. But right now, the 5th position is being held by Brandon Jones coming into the final race of the season. Denny Hamlin sets 6th, Kyle Busch 7th, Kyle Larson in 8th position, Kevin Harvick drops all the way down to 9th, Joey Logano in 10th, Alex Bowman 11th, Michael McDowell 12th, Kaz Gralla in 13th position, Justin Allgaier 14th, Matt DiBenedetto 15th, and Josh Bilicki rounding out your top 16. And from 17th on back, we have the battle in points among those who did not make the playoffs whatsoever. Currently, Clint Boyer still sets atop that list, 17th in point standings. 8 top 5s on the season, 14 top 10s, 239 laps led. Still no wins on the season, and just one more chance left for Clint Boyer to take home a victory in his final full-time NASCAR Cup Series season. However, Boyer won at the Atlanta Motor Speedway back in 2019, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Boyer could actually take home a walk-off victory in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Eric Jones currently sets 18th in point standings, and we have Tyler Reddick 19th in points, and Ryan Newman claws his way back up to 20th in point standings in the number 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing. And so now, after all that incredibly intense playoff racing among the 3 races of the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series that have determined our Championship 4 that will race after the Bill France Cup at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, we now move on to my personal favorite segment of the show, the final Q&A segment of Post Tech Season 1. Welcome back to Post Tech. And before I get on to the final set of questions of Season 1 of Post Tech, I got to give you the disclaimer, of course. If I mispronounce any names or handles, I do apologize, but it's bound to happen. Let's get right into question number 1 from Reddick's Next Gen Testing Car, and I like that name. Any word on how the Next Gen testing is going? Well, so far you've seen at least some footage of all the tests that have been conducted so far because they've been following the schedule of the NASCAR Cup Series. There have been a few independent tests done by the manufacturers themselves, Chevrolet, Ford, Toyota, like Wheel Force cars and their test drivers out there independently at places like Charlotte, and Rockingham also is a common site for testing. But a lot of the testing is going very well so far. They are sort of going towards the package that we ran in the All-Star race earlier this season, which, if you recall, that race featured a 4-inch spoiler and no restrictions on horsepower. That appears to be the direction that NASCAR wants to go in with this next-gen car. Obviously, things would be different for the superspeedway races at Daytona and Talladega. Still unconfirmed on what direction they're going on with Michigan, if they're going to let the cars run unrestricted there, or if we're going to treat it like a typical superspeedway race, because obviously it used to be kind of lumped in with a lot of the intermediate race tracks with how it was a downforce track. You had a lot of power. You get down to turn number 1 almost going 210. Lift off, have to go about 160 center of the corner at Michigan. It's the way it used to be. But, as of recent, Michigan's kind of become a new superspeedway along the ranks of Talladega, Daytona, even though it gets a half a mile smaller. So right now, a lot of the testing has been focusing on what packages they want. I would expect some postseason testing to occur, especially if the tracks are getting kind of reconfigured or touched up in many ways, like Auto Club Speedways being repaved. I would expect an organizational test there with probably actually a full field invitation for that test. So there's going to be a lot of testing held in the postseason, and preseason thunder, especially at Daytona, is going to be very, very busy. I even expect NASCAR to have some open test sessions at the Daytona International Speedway road course, with weather permitting, just to get these next-gen cars a little bit more testing on road courses before we jump straight into the season. So there's going to be a lot of ways that NASCAR is going to have these cars go through tests. I've heard that Five Flag Speedway, Volusia Speedway, a lot of these places are going to become testing facilities for this next-gen car, but so far all the tests have gone very well. The safety tests that NASCAR has done with like sled tests, that type of thing, have gone very well. The individual tests that they've done, like the 6-car tests as of recent at the Cup Series tracks, have gone well. We just need to get a full field on track to really see how that goes, and that's what these postseason tests are going to be like throughout the course of January in particular, is when we're going to be seeing a lot of that. Also, in the weeks coming up to the Daytona 500, we're going to see a lot of testing, and obviously the practice sessions leading up to the Daytona 500. So the next-gen car is going to get a lot of practice and testing, especially all throughout the 2022 seasons. We learned this car pretty much from a blank notebook, but things are going well so far, and the word overall on next-gen testing is that everything's going nominal, I guess you could say, and the direction of the package is lower downforce, higher horsepower for the intermediate racetracks, and I think that everybody is going to be pretty happy about that, drivers, teams, and fans alike. Now, question number 2 from Switchblade. Is the Auto Club short track still on schedule to be completed in time for the 2022 season? So they're building that short track off of turn number 3 of the 2-mile oval. And so right now, things are going very well on getting that track completed in time. The goal is to have a NASCAR Xfinity Series date at that short track. So it looks like things are on time to be completed for the 2022 season. However, the big 2-mile oval is currently being resurfaced as we speak and will be utilized by the NASCAR Cup Series. So no real issues there. They're almost done with that work, and the short track will be completed in time for the NASCAR Xfinity Series to take to that track over the course of the 2022 season. So work at Auto Club Speedway is going on very well at the moment. And so now the final question from 508 Boston Bound. Could Our Motorsports go Cup Series racing part-time in 2022? They seem to be the next big thing, possibly the next calling. I could expect Our Motorsports maybe trying out, dabbling some Cup Series racing as an affiliate to RCR, much like they are in the Xfinity Series, because they're trying to run 3 cars full-time in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for next season. That's going to be a very exciting program, and considering this whole next-gen car is supposed to drop the Cup car prices way, way down, Our Motorsports very well could be the next Xfinity Series team to try and go up to the NASCAR Cup Series, at least on a part-time basis, maybe with a full-time program expected in the future. I expect big things out of Our Motorsports if they can keep this deal together. The way they're setting up their team for next season's looking very well. At least we're optimistic right now that's going to work out for them. So they do appear to be probably on a fast track to take up some part-time Cup racing within the next year or two. So don't be too surprised if you see possibly a number 02, if they can get the license from Penske to run that number, to show up to the NASCAR Cup Series circuit within the next year or two. And so, folks, that does it for episode number 28 of Post Tech, which will be our final episode of season number 1. And I just want to say thank you for all the support over the course of the first season of the show, and we hope for a great year next season. I'm Mark Leifer, and from all of us at the Speed Station, thanks for watching, and so long from Post Tech. Join us next time for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship race from the Atlanta Motor Speedway.